You gonna put up this? Yes, please. Before we get started and open the meeting, I do want to say two things. One, two of our commissioners have family members that are not in good health, but they are getting better. So that's why they're not here today, and we wish them well. And secondly, a PSA, I'm with the Norfolk Lions. If you haven't been to Town Hill, please go to Town Hill and see the field of flags. There's 1,000 flags representing veterans that have sacrificed their lives for us. And saying that, okay, Andrew, we're in accordance with the provisions of MGL Chapter 30A, Section 20. Notice is hereby given that the Conservation Commission is meeting tonight, Monday, May 20th, 2024 at 7 p.m. in Meeting Room 124, 1 Liberty Lane, Norfolk, Mass. Members of the public are welcome to attend this in person at 1 Liberty Lane, Norfolk, Mass, or by remote Zoom connection provided. Please note that the in-person meeting will not be suspended or terminated if technology's problems interrupt the connection. And with that, we'll have a motion to open the public hearing on 68 River Road.
Motion to open 68 River Road.
Second?
Ralston, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, this is a continuance from April 10th. Caitlin?
So no additional materials have been submitted to the last meeting, where you might remember a representative from Beta Group went over their peer review of the bordering land subject to flooding calculations that were provided by Mr. David Sadowski. Essentially certifying that the calculations did indeed show that there would be no increase in the horizontal extent of the 100-year floodplain based on the proposed work.
Okay. And so we haven't received any other information. So do we have a DEP number? Yes, we do.
Yes.
So we're just waiting for them to come back to us? Or are they here?
I'm here right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. You have to look up.
Yeah.
Yes, introduce yourself and...
Sure. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members, and general public. My name is David Sadowski. I'm the principal of DJ and Associates, and I'm here representing the 36th Thayer Street LLC concerning the project at 68 River Road. Our project is in compliance with all the performance standards. We have minimized impacts to the project. We have 1.09 acres, and we're only disturbing 4,600 square feet. We're under the 5,000 threshold. We're outside of almost all of the zones of riverfront and bordering land subject to flooding. We had Beta Group review our calculations. They said the extent of the flood would not be extended by the 21 piles that we were going to put in, and also the position of our site, so 250 feet from the river, would not impede any flow down the river, so as a boat or something tried to escape the flood. Basically, our proposal would not at all affect the floodway or the flood zone.
Okay.
We feel that we'd like to close the hearing tonight.
All right, thank you. Commissioners, any questions?
I just want to, from Caitlin, I thought we were all set with this. So are we waiting for something else? Is there something else we need, or are we good?
No, there's no additional
Okay, so we're
materials.
Okay.
Anybody in the audience would like to speak regarding 68 River Road? Seeing none, I'll accept a motion to close the hearing.
Al Finney, so moved.
Second?
Ralston, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're back in business.
I need a motion to issue a
Motion, yep,
intent.
yep.
Yeah, so the commission
Please.
should deliberate on their decision, discuss any potential special conditions, if they choose to issue an approval. I've written down, or I've put together several recommendations for special conditions that I believe will ensure that there's no adverse impacts to wetlands during, the construction phase and post-construction.
Okay.
Does the engineer have a copy of these conditions that we're going to be, or should we read them out?
No, I haven't received anything.
Don't have another copy.
Do a copy?
Yeah, let me
I
give you
can-
this copy, just so you have something in front. It's not a big deal, it's just so you have it.
Thank you very much, through the chair.
Give you a second to go over there.
Mr. Chairman, I guess I just need an explanation on who the third-party construction monitor would be, who selects that monitor. Is that something the board would approve?
So it could be someone hired by the applicant and approved by the commission as an adequate construction monitor, or the commission could choose to hire their own third-party consultant.
That's really my only question, if the board would appoint someone, or if someone would be brought in and you would look at their credentials as far as doing the as-built or watching the construction phase.
Do we have somebody readily available and what kind of cost? Do you think?
I don't have any current proposals. There are several companies in the area that I'm sure.
Do you know ballpark of what kind of? Under
Not
five?
knowing, the exact length of construction, any obstacles that might come up during construction that, might require more site visits than initially thought, how much, precipitation
Okay.
we get during the time, so it's hard to estimate.
Is this something Beta does? Or do you have anybody that you,
I believe they do monitoring for the planning board.
yeah?
Yeah, through the chair, we'd hire someone local that the board is familiar with. That way they could come out and do their as-built work as needed and then submit reports.
If
on
you're
whatever
willing to
basis.
do that,
Yes,
Although
we're definitely willing to do that.
we need
Company
to
that
know.
does the monitoring should be separate from the company that prepares the as-built plan.
Correct.
Yeah. It's-
Okay.
Yes.
If you would send a name to Caitlin, and she can approve that on behalf of the board.
Certainly.
Okay, and we get your project going. Any other comments, questions? Seeing none, now.
I
Yep.
actually, so, the as-built, with the minimum 2-foot topo contours.
Yes.
The commission may consider, reducing that to 1-foot contours, considering the.
We'd encourage the commission to say 1-foot contours. We want to make sure nothing is altered on the site.
Okay.
And then another potential special condition would be to have a Conservation Commission representative witness the septic install and excavation. I know that our current health agent witnessed the perk test, but he did not witness the deep hole observations. Is that correct?
I believe he left for Virginia, the agent that was, this started 3 years ago.
So is the septic being put in already? Is it?
No,
So
nothing
that'll
is
be
happening,
inspected
no.
at the time from the Board of Health.
Right.
When that gets installed.
Correct.
Do you think we need somebody? Or can the Board of Health do it for both of us?
Ideally, it would be the third-party monitor, construction monitor, that would be present.
Right.
That's fine.
I would encourage the Board of Health also to come out.
Oh, definitely. They will.
They come out for 4 different, they're required to come out for 4
They
different.
are.
Deep hole inspection, the bottom of hole inspection, component inspection, fill inspection, and also, the final grade.
Okay, so the third party you're going to hire, ask them,
Sure.
and again, Caitlin will, sign off on it.
Right, and I'll encourage the third party to keep submitting reports to the commission on a monthly basis.
Make it an easy project. Okay. Anything else?
Any other questions?
No, I'm good. Okay, then I will accept a motion to close this hearing.
I believe we did that already, Dave? Did we?
No.
We did that.
Yes, the
We
hearing was
closed,
closed.
I'm
Make
sorry.
a motion to, for notice of intent?
Order of
Order of
Yes,
conditions.
sure,
Order
yes,
conditions?
I'm sorry, yes. Yes. Go ahead.
I'll make a motion for 68 River Road for order of conditions with DEP number 240-0663 with the attached conditions that we've asked for.
Second,
Also, and I second.
any further questions? Anybody in the audience? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And it passes.
Just make sure you get those conditions, sir, so you'll know exactly what we'll need from Caitlin. All right?
Thank you very
Be
much.
great.
You're welcome.
I'll make sure the order conditions get recorded at the Registry of Deeds also,
Yes.
Thank you. Yes.
personally.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
okay. 41 Turner Street. Step right up.
There was one?
41.
No.
How'd you get your computer to get up and running? You got everything on the screen, right? How'd you do that?
Open up your email, grab Elaine's email with the shared folder,
Yeah.
and it has links to everything in it.
Okay, go ahead.
Evening, everyone. Russ Waldron, back for 41 Turner Street. So, last time there were a number of questions from the neighbors. I'm going to run through those really quick. Some of them pertain to, types of animals, how the animals are going to be contained and all that. That was covered by the applicant pretty thoroughly last time, so I'm not going to go into that anymore. It's on the video. I reviewed the video, and Jim really, covered that pretty well. One question was dealing, whether or not the driveway posed a threat to washing out onto the abutting property here. So what we have done is we have a construction note here and a detail added.
Do you have the pointer, Elaine?
It's not working.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
And a detail
that up a
added
little
to the
bit?
plan.
Can you point up on the screen so
Yeah.
the public and everybody can see? Blow it up a little more,
Yeah.
maybe?
Yep, whoop, down a little. All right, construction note here.
Yep.
And so what we're gonna do to address that, we're gonna pitch the driveway 2 degrees on site. And this planter bed, there's another note here, is gonna be raised 1 foot.
Okay.
So any runoff is gonna go on site. And that's the only addition to the plan. I'll just stand here. So that addresses that. Like I said, the animal stuff has been addressed. The ag waste stuff, like I've been recommending, get a ag waste management plan from NRCS. There's no tree removal plan, excuse me, which is one of the questions. They are limiting the tree removal to the absolute minimum that they have to get the driveway in, the house, the barn, and a little bit of yard, and the septic system. We don't have a plan. We haven't marked out any trees or anything like that. Another question is, how will the trees be protected? There was a suggestion that a special condition to protect the proximity of the trees by 2x4s around the trunks. That can be done, no problem, if the
Okay.
commission wants it. There was a question about root damage, and, will that occur? Maybe, probably, maybe not. No way to know. No way to know that.
Right.
You try and, avoid it as much as possible. And again, it's another animal question. Another animal question. The deer. And I get this question all the time because everybody loves their deer, including me, even though there's too many of them. The question was basically, if that portion of the forested area, once it's cleared for development, will that displace the deer? Because, and I guess they bed down back there. Probably not. Deer are, incredibly adaptable. And from what I've seen with construction sites is they'll move out during the day when it's all noisy and hectic. And then at night they come right back in because any construction site near any wooded area, all you see is deer prints. As far as beds, they'll find another place to bed down, maybe close, maybe, other side of the wetland or in the wetland. So that's pretty much, deer are deer. They're going to do what they want to do. And they'll certainly be back eating all your brand new flowers and shrubs that get planted. The Migratory Bird Act of 1918, so that was originally signed between the US and Canada. It was drawn up in 1916, officiated in 1918, and that was specifically to control and prohibit the taking of specific species at the time, which were predominantly the wading birds, the migratory wading birds, snowy egrets in particular, and then, the neotropical birds throughout the southern states and Florida. It's been amended a number of times over the years to include additional species. And, one of the spin-offs was the, I forget what it's called, the eagles, and I forget what that section is called.
Okay.
So there's a whole bunch of different spin-offs. Originally it was between the US and Canada, but as time went on, Mexico, Japan, and Russia signed on. I don't know if any other countries have. There was a question, proximity to the wetlands, the driveway, it's going in best way that it can, least impactful. We're not crossing the wetlands, and so there's really no better way to access the back. There was a question about constraints to lot development. No, nothing up beyond the normal. It's a legal building lot. Board of Health will have their say with the septic, and planning and building will have their say on the actual construction. And, there was a Zoom question about the runoff. I think it was just a general question, but the rules are all runoff has to remain on site. It cannot go off site. It has to remain on site. So, construction methodologies, drainage direction and all that, generally takes care of that. Any disturbed soils that are created due to construction, they're going to get stabilized and revegetated. And, again, the last question was the manure. NRCS ag waste plan, the neighbors have horses and stuff, so, maybe they'd like to share their tricks of the trade. But ag waste management plan is the best way to go. They're great people and they'll set you up. And that's really it. That's about all I have from last time.
Okay, Caitlin?
Oh,
Oh, go ahead.
no, I was chatting with Caitlin. I got an email from the applicant, and Caitlin had gone out and reviewed. And she said under the bylaw, where I started flagging the, oof.
I think it's A4 and A5.
Yeah, I'm way too close to this to see anything. Oh, right here. So there's Turner Street here, and there is a pipe, concrete pipe.
Yes.
So that carries the country drainage down and out. It also, we learned from Bill, that when he built his house, this part of town has high groundwater. He put a sub-basement, a sub-slab, 3 or 4 perforated pipes under the slab in crushed stone, so when the groundwater comes up, it goes out and it daylights. His pipes daylight. So here's the culvert right about here. No, actually more over here.
By the culvert?
Yeah, this side of it a ways. And so there is an influence of water from those pipes. Which sometimes this ditch and the pipe will flow when there's nothing coming down the road. You know, like I said, Caitlin mentioned that, you know, there's a washout from here down there. I did not get any hydrology between the pipe and where I started flagging. I did get hydrology here, which is where I started it. This is a gully wash. I mean, if you want, I can extend the flags up, you know, if you feel like it should be included, but this should be dealt with some stone.
Crushed
because
stone
it's going to
and-
get worse. You know, it's just going to get worse. And,
So you'll propose that to the applicant?
yeah. Well, I'll just tell him. And as far as pushing the flags up a little, given the distance from here to here, I mean, it'll expand the buffer zone a little bit, but, I mean, over that distance, it might add a couple hundred square feet to the, you know, actually it won't, because everything's already covered anyway, so it really will have zero impact
Okay.
on that. So that's it for me.
Kayla?
Yeah, so essentially, I went out last Thursday when it was raining, after it had rained, after hearing concerns about drainage on the site. And really the only issue that I ran into was that pipe that runs across Turner Street. From my perspective, I believe the channel there meets the definition of a bylaw stream, and without, you know, having any evidence supporting, you know, that the water is coming from slab.
Combination of the country drainage and Bill's sub-basement.
So,
setup.
because there's a farm pond and wetlands a little bit further up towards Pennacook. So I think the commission would want to have just confirmation that there isn't a hydraulic connection there, which would make it a stream protected under the act and not just the bylaw.
And how would we do that? What are you proposing? Get somebody out there? Or
So,
I can just add the flags. It's
Oh,
not-
okay.
It's not a big deal.
and I'm happy, if you want to let me know when you're going out there, I can meet you out there and review them same day.
Sure. Get you to do some more augering.
Okay. That's it?
But yeah, otherwise the drainage is all, I think it, based on the app that I used, it had rained almost 1.5 inches. And really all the drainage kind of just follows the wetlands out.
Yep, that's
And
where it
then
goes.
same thing with the neighboring 37 Turner, how the drainage from there kind of follows down and then it pools near Mass Ave.
One question. Did you mention that you were anticipating hearing back, getting a letter from the building department regarding?
Oh, right. And I was able to confirm with the building commissioner that no special permit is needed for what is currently proposed. It's fine to have two septic systems on one site. Obviously, the current structure can't be used as housing, but it can be used for storage, agricultural purposes, educational purposes. All that is allowable without a special permit.
Oh, okay, good. And so you want to continue this till June 12th
I believe so.
to finish all the flagging and,
Okay, if it's only the flagging that remains, I'll go out the flags, I'll hang the flags, we'll locate them as I hang them, and we can get you a revised plan, you know, if you'd like to do it. I mean, if we could close it and lose that would be great.
I think June 12th is doable.
okay.
Then 701?
Yes, please.
I do have a question.
Yes,
I'd like to
sir.
ask the board here. The last 68 River Road, we asked for a third-party construction monitor. Should we be asking or requesting one for this as well? I mean, this is a big project, and it's a lot of wetlands there.
If the applicant was amenable, I think maybe not for the full phase of construction, but for the initial site clearing and grading.
Well, I'm hearing trees being taken down. We're going to do the minimal. I understand that's all great to hear, but then in reality, you know, I can't be there, you can't be there, but if we had a monitor to make sure these certain conditions are being upheld, because you know what happens, the tree's gone, it's gone.
Right.
Not that I'm a tree hugger either, but just being said, I think it's a condition that I'd like to see added to this. Maybe not for the whole project.
But
And
just
I
the
understand
beginning.
your work, no disrespect to you. I know,
Oh, no,
I've seen your
it's
work,
all
but
fine. All fine.
I just think it would be one more thing that
Yeah.
to protect us.
I would
Yeah, I think
concur
the
with that.
initial clearing and grading would be
The
the highest
driveway.
chance of there being some sort of impact during construction, so.
Yeah, you can witness the erosion controls and
Yeah.
everything.
Just-
Runoff.
Yeah, I mean, with any construction project, that's usually when the site is the least stable. And considering, there's a lot of overland flow down into the wetlands or the ponded area near Mass Ave. I think that's a good idea.
Okay. Anybody else have a add-on? So we'll have to make a motion to add that on, or?
Well, I'll just note that, and then,
Is one of the order conditions, because we're continuing this anyway, right?
Yeah.
right, yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, just put on the order condition. Okay. All right, then. All in favor of it, 701?
701, June 12th.
Yeah. We voted on it, right?
I think we have to make a motion.
Yeah.
Valstone, I make a motion to continue the public hearing of 41 Turner Street, DP number 240-0667 to 701 on June 12th, 2024.
Second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We did that.
Oh, we did?
All right, moving on. How we doing on time? Perfect. Pond State, Pond View Estate. The treatment of the pond.
Hello, I'm Yao Lee, 12 Pond View. I'm
Welcome.
representing the Pond View Homeowners Association. And I think we have someone from Water and Wetlands on the phone as well.
Yep, my name is James Lacasse from Water and Wetland.
Or Andrew has to. Andrew? Okay, thank you.
So since the last time we were together, we did receive a DEP number. We have also submitted our project as an ecological restoration limited project, so we will not be required to do the stormwater testing. I don't know if there's any other questions. We're hoping to close this today so that we can start treatment, planning for treatment.
You're on. Can you hear me?
Yep, I'm more here just to echo what she said. I know this meeting was continued from last. This issue was continued from last meeting, so more here just to answer any questions you guys have, if any.
Okay.
Do we
I don't have any.
Did we not continue this just for a DEP number, or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
And they were resubmitting it,
so
Yes.
prior to, DEP had issued a comment prior to issuing the file number, which was to revise the Form 3 to be an ecological restoration limited project. When they issued the file number, they had an additional comment. The comment stated the applicant should also confirm that the proposed herbicide will not affect vegetation or wetland resources within the eastern portion of Callahan Pond, not owned by the Pondview Estates Homeowners Association. In correspondence with a member of the Homeowners Association, it was explained to me that that would be addressed at the meeting tonight.
Yeah. Yep. So what we're using is very selective. It doesn't move in the water, no soil activity. So essentially, wherever the treatment is confirmed, which will be based off survey data, is exactly what will be affected. So therefore, it will have no effects on anywhere else in the pond other than the treatment area and the plants selected for the treatment.
It doesn't flow with the water?
Nope.
It should just stay
So
on the
this,
plant.
it's going to be a foliar treatment. So the herbicide will land on the vegetation and in conjunction with a surfactant, and it will stay in that area.
Okay.
And you mentioned you would be conducting treatment with survey. What type of survey equipment?
We usually just do a brief survey prior to treatment, just to confirm vegetation areas and so forth. If necessary, it's pretty basic equipment we would use for this type of survey. Everything from just visual observation to a throw rake. So no major equipment.
So there isn't, so I think what the DEP comment is intending to say is, so you're in the pond, how do you know if you're on the homeowners association owned portion or portions owned by other individuals?
Oh, of course. Yeah. Well, we have GIS applications that we use.
Okay, and do you know the accuracy of those?
Yep, it's within 3 feet 1 meter.
Okay.
So, as far as additional comments, I don't have any related to the actual work. I do think, the commission should consider, whether or not the methodology that's going to be used will ensure that work isn't being done on private property without approval.
I have a big question here because it's puzzling me. Have the owners of the property that are not on the other part of the pond, why are they objective to this?
No one is objecting to it. It's just we
So-
would have to ask them to pay for part of the
No,
cleaning.
and I understand that. So they're not going to pay for it, but if it happens to migrate over there a little bit,
Yeah.
I'm just asking, have the homeowners responded to you and said, we don't want you touching our plants?
No.
Okay.
It benefits them because they use it
Where I'm at,
right
it would benefit the whole pond, so the
Yeah.
more you want to treat, I'd be happy to see that happen, but, you know.
So, do you think they would be amenable to sign the form?
The form for what? I don't understand.
The notice of intent, Form 3? So if work does take place on their property, their signature on that form just certifies that they're aware and that they have allowed it?
This is where, this application is just for the property that we own, and so we've just been trying to keep it to our area of the pond that we own. Like, they're not part of our association, so if they want to do it, I kind of feel like they need to do that on their own, and,
I'm just looking for your behalf.
Yeah,
Not them.
yeah.
I'm not looking for them to get a free treatment here, but we're talking a fine line here of property, and if they're not objective to it, then there should be no issues here. That's all I'm looking at,
Okay.
on your behalf.
What's a good,
And it is the
If we
commission's
could- if I
duty
could
to
just
ensure
chime in
that,
too, the primary-
work is,
1 minute, please. You go ahead,
Yep,
Caitlin.
of course.
that any work that is taking place on, adjacent properties, that the property owners are
Are aware.
are aware and have signed off on it. So it's for the commission's benefit as well. And in having used similar GPS units, sometimes, they're 10 centimeter accuracy, sometimes cloudy day or, the satellites are wherever and it's not always as accurate.
What's a good way we can get their signatures without major effort?
How many, is there that many?
There's not.
Is it 2 or 3?
Yeah.
I mean, there's not that many, so I think it's,
One of them was here the last time, and they didn't oppose to it. And then, I don't even know, the other two own, it's all weeds there now, so.
I just,
Do you think you could get those couple signatures for us?
if, the association wanted to just reach out to them and just say, listen, this is what we want to do. We may treat a little bit onto your portion of the pond.
Accidentally, yeah.
Yep.
Are you okay with that? And if they're fine with it, then that,
And what kind of written, just,
just I don't know
So
what.
there's the Form 3.
Can you get that to her?
You could just take a blank signature page and they can sign that as one of the property owners. And then their lot would also be included on the form.
okay, and I think our,
Go ahead.
Yeah, and if I could just chime in, just two things real quick. This is a very basic treatment from our perspective. This is something we deal with a lot, whether it's state borders within a pond, town borders within a pond, or simply, like this case, property borders.
Yep.
So this is something that we're very used to, and we have it pretty pinpoint down. And the primary target here is water lilies, and water lilies is very, very selective. As I mentioned, it's a foliar application, and the herbicide we use has 0 water activity. So the second it actually does get in the water, it's inactive. So it really does only affect the water lilies that it falls on top of. So there would be no circumstance where it would spread to other properties. I know there are a couple other things on the NOI that, are extra kind of tools in our back pocket to use in case, there are algae blooms or so forth. But like I said, the primary target here is water lilies. It's a foliar treatment. It only affects the lilies. I mean, we can get it as pinpoint to treating a lily, and if we don't want to hit a lily that's right next to that lily, it's not affected whatsoever. So this is a very accurate, tedious treatment, and like I said, this isn't the first circumstance where we have, whether it's a state boundary, town boundary, property boundary, that we have to work with. We're very familiar with that.
Okay. So I think, yeah, if you could get the signatures from those couple other property owners, just so it covers us, covers you, covers everybody. Okay. Any other comments, questions? Anybody in the audience? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to close this hearing.
Al Finney, so moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it passes. Just let us know when you're going to have the treatment, and let the office know.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up is 15 Fruit Street.
Hi, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
It's John Glossa Engineering, 46 East Street in East Walpole. And I have with me Dave McCready, who's going to be the builder of this house. So I've known Dave for like 100 years. He's a little older than me, you can tell. This is his daughter, Maggie McCready, and Maggie's husband, Nick Benatti.
We don't age shame here.
You look younger than all of us. So,
Oh, thank
anyway,
you.
I'm here representing Dave and his son-in-law and daughter for property at 15 Fruit Street. So 15 Fruit Street has an existing order of conditions. So my role in this originally was I worked for a fellow by the name of Dominic Rossi, who bought this property. It was a larger piece of property, broke it up into 4 lots, asked me to get permits, meaning conservation and septic system, for the 4 lots so that he could market them and sell them. Even though Dominic is a builder, I think this project was a little bit sort of bigger than what something he would take on. He's more like additions and renovations and that sort of stuff. But he did end up with this property. And then quickly, just so if you don't know, what happened was his title examiner failed to find out that there was a portion of this lot which had been taken by the town of Norfolk for delinquent taxes a while back. And his title examiner missed that, so there was some back and forth, let's call it, between Dominic and the town, and eventually it was worked out. And then Dominic has since sold the property to Dave McCready. So the original plan is this plan right here. I don't think you have that, Elaine, I'm not sure. But I'll just show it to you quickly. We put it in color, but you can see it had a driveway coming into a garage and then a house behind the garage and a septic system if you're standing on Fruit Street looking at this property on the right side. So, you know, again, we kind of laid this out for Dominic. No builder, no architect, no potential owner ever came to us and said, this is what we want. We just did it so that Dominic would have the permits needed to sell the property. Nobody's going to buy a piece of property without Board of Health approval and conservation approval when there's wetlands involved. So now David has come forward, and that's the plan you're looking at now, and he actually has a house that he wants to construct, which you can see there. And the difference being that, you know, Dave being a builder immediately recognized that there was a problem, and that is that the original layout required people to back out onto Fruit Street. And if you kind of know Fruit Street, it's not really a place you want to be reversing. You want to be able to reverse direction and to drive out straight onto Fruit Street. So David put the garage on the side, and in order to do that, we moved the septic forward. We did another test pit with the Board of Health, and that's been approved now. And then we met with Caitlin, and Caitlin asked about doing some infiltration of the paved surfaces. So for the house, it's for, oops, I'm sorry, it's for this this part, the rear and this side of the house, we have a dry well here.
Oh, okay.
So we have 2 minute an inch gravel soil here, so that dry well is going to let a lot of water from the rooftop into the ground. And then for the driveway, we're putting a berm, an asphalt berm along the low side of the driveway, and then forcing the water into an infiltration trench. Is that what they call it? Or an infiltration basin at that location. And again, all of this has good separation to the groundwater table and and so will allow a lot of water, surface water runoff to infiltrate back into the ground.
And it stays on the property, so.
Right. So we're here to ask you to amend the current order of conditions, and I did put in my letter asking for the amendment to show that the existing order conditions are valid. I think they're valid through next year sometime, but just so that you understand that we're working on an existing valid
Yep.
order of conditions. So we're just changing from this plan to this. Nothing really gets closer. We've moved the septic system here, but it still has the same separation distance to the wetlands. It's not closer to the wetlands, it's just in a different location. So all of the work is more than 50 feet outside of the buffer. So, okay. So if you have any questions, I can answer any questions. Dave or Nick or Maggie can answer any questions.
Okay, Caitlin, do you have anything?
So, as John was saying, there is increased impervious surface. The driveway's a little bit larger, and the limit of work has moved slightly towards the wetlands. However, it's still outside the 50-foot no disturb. And like you said, we did meet and discuss infiltration. The current approved plan doesn't have any sort of mitigation as far as runoff. So in my opinion, this design actually has a lot of benefits or increased protection as far as runoff into the wetlands. And I believe the conservation markers are still shown on the revised plan, correct?
Yes. Yes, we have 5 of them.
So I don't see any issue with the commission granting those amendments.
Which one? The limit of work and the driveway configuration?
So essentially just the amendments shown on the plan. So the revised plan would become the plan of record.
Okay.
And just one additional special condition that I would recommend would just be related to the vegetation and the infiltration trench or basin. Just prior to requesting the COC, confirm that that's in working order. And then potentially adding some sort of wildlife-friendly seed mix along the edge of the 50-foot buffer and limit of work by the roadway along the septic system. I don't believe, unless there needs to be a path around that septic area.
No, we can do that. You know, they only need to access the tank, which is actually on the high side of the driveway. So the other side can be vegetated that way.
Some sort of
conservation mix or something
conservation
like
mix or, yeah,
that. Yeah.
something, appropriate for that area. Yeah, that was,
So a couple comments have to be added to the,
yeah, so the form would be revised to reflect this revised plan, and then, the additional special condition if the commission chooses to add that. And the date of expiration, that would stay the same. It would just be just the amendment with the plan of record and that additional special condition.
okay. Any questions?
Of course.
Of
I
course.
just have two small ones. Where is this in relationship to Fruit Street? Is it on the short side or the long side?
It's, so if this, Cleveland Street's right here.
Okay,
So as you're coming up the hill, it's the lot, so this is this is the sort of the first
on the right
lot.
side,
Yeah, it's on the right
across from the
side.
houses that just got built on the left?
Yeah. and-
Okay,
Yeah, and so that first house on the left is right across the
okay,
street from us.
Okay.
and my other question's answered by knowing that there's nothing on the property now. Nothing's been built yet or cleared or
No,
nothing.
no. Nothing's
I'm good.
been built.
I just was
mean,
curious.
we did do soil testing, and we worked with Caitlin to do an additional
Yep.
soil test there. But no, nothing's been built on this property.
I'm good, Dave. I just was curious on where the property is, that's all.
Just making a note. All right, anybody else? Anybody in the audience? Yes, sir. You have to say your name and,
Dave McCready.
no, you got to talk in the microphone. Be official.
Dave McCready.
You're doing well.
Mike.
I slipped up. Praised me too early. Give me a minute, I'll get it next time.
Dave McCready, my question is, there was an order of condition, then there was COVID, and then it was extended, but I'm not sure when it expires.
It'd be 2005?
I can tell you, it's right in mine.
Huh? 25, I mean, 25.
We're past that by...
Yeah, in March of 22, excuse me, we passed extended it for another 3 years,
So it expires
next year.
25 days, okay.
When do you think you'll be starting to build?
As soon as we get the go-ahead.
Oh, okay. Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, maybe, I'll stay.
Okay, you have to come up and,
I got this one.
thank you, sir.
Green light's on.
No? You give me once, not twice. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yeah, I'm Mary Keane. I live on 11 Fruit Street, right next door to it, where they're going to build. And I was just wondering, well, let me just put, I cannot believe that you can put a house on the wetlands, because there's a question, actually a few questions. How often does the Conservation Commission allow for construction within 100 feet of the wetlands?
Quite often.
Yeah,
Quite often,
Quite often?
yes.
yeah, minimum is the 50, and depending on the circumstances, we'll allow it under the 100.
Have any of you, except for you, Caitlin, I know you've been out a few weeks ago, been to this property with the wetlands?
I work in town, ma'am. And
Yeah.
that's why I asked where it was, because I know the house is across the street.
Yeah, it's, because the wetlands is, there's a lot of wetlands there, let's put it that way. I mean, I always thought you couldn't build right near wetlands where there's animals going and birds and all that. The previous person, I forget, Turner Street, he corrected that for me, because obviously no one cares about the animals, they'll come back. But anyways, another question. what was the evaluation of the wetlands done? When was the evaluation of the wetlands done? And has anyone gone there recently to mark the wetlands?
Do you want me to answer?
Because we've got a lot of rain
Yes,
in the
when-
last, yeah,
When did you flag it?
It was done November 9th, 2018.
2018.
Is the flag still there?
And so when this, I believe it was 17 Fruit Street or one of those 4 parcels, you went out and rehung all the flags. I believe Karen Catrone was the one who originally flagged it in 2018. So John went out and he rehung those flags by survey, and I went out and confirmed each of those flags.
This year, wasn't it? Or
And that
last
would
year?
have been summer of '23,
Well,
so about a year ago.
2023,
Okay.
yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, most of the wetlands we're discussing here is more towards Cleveland Street, towards the bottom of the hill. This piece of property is elevated up
On the uplands.
on the upland side of that, if I'm not mistaken.
No, you're
mean-
correct.
But would that be 100 feet for?
Yeah, 100 feet ain't really, ma'am, a lot of, it's not a big distance.
Yeah,
And there are certain guidelines they will have to
Abide by.
and Caitlin will be on that to make sure they're not doing anything that they can't do in that 100 feet. I understand the turkeys are there, they live there.
yeah, the deer, the
The
turkeys,
deer, but,
yeah,
you know,
obviously.
We
no
do
one
like
cares.
animals. We do like
understand the animals, but, there's a lot of other land that's been, hundreds of acres cleared, and there's a lot of deer there too. So the deer will still strive, especially with the farm that's right there across the street as well. But I just want the commission to know that I know that area, and the wetlands is more towards Cleveland
Okay.
Street, down in the hole. That's why I wanted to
Yeah.
know where this property was, so. And you've been out there, right? So I am correct to say that? That it
Yes.
is on the higher end?
Yeah, Ben,
The wetlands actually covers both sides. I own the other side.
Yes, it's on both sides of the, right.
Do you have any other,
And what about the runoff there?
you have to address me. You have to identify yourself and address. No, you need to come to the microphone, please. Strike 2.
You got it.
Wait on that.
He did a good job.
He did.
You should.
Good recovery.
And for what he's worth. I'm Dr. Clifford Freilich. I own 10 Fruit Street. I own the corner Cleveland and Fruit.
Oh, okay.
And then it passes through Fruit, splitting the two properties right down the center between this property here and the other future property as well. So just a minor correction there.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
And may I just say one other question?
Yes, sir. Ma'am.
Now, if this goes through, which it seems like it will, would the owner put some trees up? So I'm concerned about our privacy.
That's a whole different matter. That doesn't belong to us. You can.
Oh, okay.
We're just concerned about wetlands and water. Now, one of the things we should recommend is that there'll be markers there where the wetlands are.
yeah, so that was a part of that was a special condition of the original order, and you can kind of see them on the plan there. They're
Yeah.
the black squares along the limit of work, similar to the other lots, 104, 102 Cleveland, and 17 Fruit.
Okay. And that's how we delineate where they can work or do anything and where they cannot. Absolutely not. And if they do, they'll be in trouble, or whoever does it.
Dan, do you have any questions?
No, really. Mike had a challenge to so what are that?
Yeah.
My dad, I live with my dad.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Anybody else have any questions, concerns? Anybody on the Zoom? Okay, seeing none, we'll close this hearing.
Al Finney, I make a motion to close DEP number 240-0606.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. So we have to issue the order of conditions?
The amended.
The amended one,
Is-
excuse me,
yes.
yes. I'll accept that motion.
Al Finney, I make a motion to accept the amended OOC DEP number 240-0606 with the conditions that we have discussed tonight.
Okay, is there a second to that?
Second.
Any further discussion? Anybody in the audience? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Oh, thank you. Glad we could get that project going.
Yeah, it's gonna, David is a excellent builder who's been around a long time. Like, I know I made a joke, but David and I have known each other a long time. We've done a lot of projects.
I can see he's an experienced
I do
person.
drive-bys there because the turkeys nest across the street.
Yeah.
But anyway.
All right.
Thank you.
Comey's Pond,
Uh-oh.
notice of intent. It's a highway department,
After
correct?
the treatment?
This is the CPC
Oh, okay.
funded project.
Yeah. And what we-
Okay, so I'll open, accept a motion to open this hearing.
So moved.
Second?
Valstone, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, this is a notice of intent by, as Caitlin said, the CPC to implementation of chemicals to take care of the invasive plants. Hi.
I'm back again, James Lacasse, Water and Wetland. So we do a lot of work in Norfolk. This is one that was brought up to us. We did a bunch of surveys last year for you guys. Comey's Pond, a bunch of nuisance native densities that can potentially be harmful to a pond, in addition to low dissolved oxygen. So we've been working closely with Caitlin, and sonar is the preferred method here. Kind of a systemic herbicide, get multi-year control, followed by just maintenance as necessary, which is just monthly monitoring and treatments as necessary. There were 2 invasives found on the property, which were Japanese knotweed and purple loosestrife, so those were also included as well. I'll be, as usual, more than happy to answer any questions that any of you guys have.
I think we've discussed this in detail. I think the only thing we're waiting for is the DEP number.
Correct.
So we'll have to continue. Go ahead.
If the commission is satisfied that, there won't be any expected comments from DEP, which I don't believe there will be. Water and Wetlands has submitted numerous applications for this very same type of work for the town, and hasn't received comments back from DEP. So if the commission wanted to, they could consider closing the hearing and issuing a permit for this.
This, Caitlin, is the aeration, isn't it? Is this the,
Aeration, that'll be a next step.
for the treatment?
Yes, I think aiming for the fall for that.
I would see.
If anyone knows an
I would see
electrician,
no reason to continue.
I agree.
it's on my list. so.
That's right.
Okay, then let's, anybody have any comments? Seeing none, I'll accept the motion to close this hearing.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Valstone, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So we have to go ahead and issue it, correct?
And as far as special conditions, just that the work is done by a licensed applicator,
Which is his company, correct?
which is, yeah, I'm assuming everyone who works there, so.
Correct.
Okay. When is this going to be done?
So once everything, once we have the DEP file number, we then file a permit with Massachusetts in order to get a permit to apply herbicides. That usually takes, it's been a little bit longer lately, probably 2 to 3 weeks. So once we have that permit in hand, we will be out there immediately. We usually let the commission know 1 to 2 weeks prior to our site visit date. So once we have a better timeline, I'm guessing hopefully in June would be a good goal. If not June, then early July, but it just depends on when we get the file number and when we can file with the state.
Okay. So no special condition to wait? We could pass it, but we have to get the DEP number, and, I mean, he just confirmed that, I mean, that's...
I'm not 100% familiar with that procedure, but the
We
commission-
pass this without a DEP number, though? Because we don't,
there's nothing stating that a commission couldn't.
we can pass it with the condition that the DEP will be issuing.
The file number
File
before
number.
it's done.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
Okay,
It would, yeah, because they would need the number to, before registering the order at the Registry of Deeds, or recording, excuse me.
Okay, last time, any other comments, questions? Okay, I'll accept a motion, but let's include that
The file number.
the Mass DEP number has to be issued before the project can begin.
I will make that motion. I'll make a motion that we approve the order of conditions for Comey's Pond with as soon as we receive the DEP file number.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, it passes.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you. You want to close that door so it's...
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we have a couple appointments. Christopher?
We still have CCOM.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Seekonk. Yeah, let,
What was I going to say?
do you want to tell the DPW's out there?
Are they?
Yeah, I think I saw Blair. Huh?
Blair or Barry?
Barry, somebody.
Barry must be. I don't think Blair's here.
Oh, thank you. Awesome. We have some handouts too, if it would be helpful to look along.
Oh, it would be.
Some of these figures.
Oh, nice
And we
picture.
sent the same stuff.
Oh, okay.
Up on the screen.
Thank you.
Is it Seekonk? I know all of
Yes.
this, fortunately. I worked for Barry. He left?
No.
Thank you.
We just,
Okay.
guess what? We just denied it.
Oh, yes.
I'm rotten, aren't I?
Wait till you get your review.
Yeah.
Okay, Seekonk Street, notice of intent for a culvert by the Norfolk Department of Public Works for a culvert removal and a replacement. And basically, they're taking it out because it's deteriorating, and they're putting in a new 10-foot by 5-foot culvert system and a new 4-foot by 4-foot culvert system. In conjunction with the culvert replacement, DPW proposes replacement of .35 miles section of the water main in Seekonk Street between Main Street and King Philip Trail. Go ahead, identify yourself and...
My name's Eric Silva. I work for Park Corporation. We're here on behalf of the DPW. And
Hi, I'm Lauren Gluck. I'm also with Power Corporation.
So, like you mentioned, the intent of the project is to replace the existing culverts that are out there now. They're deteriorating, hydraulically very undersized, which has caused flooding on the roadway, erosion of the embankments of the roadway, which the DPW has been trying to mitigate with placing crushed stone on the upstream side to stabilize the embankment, and they've repaved the road several times, but because the embankment's eroding, the pavement structure's eroding also. I had some photos too recently in January, I don't know if they're available, but there's flooding as recently as January when we had those larger storms. So, like you mentioned, we're proposing to put a 10-foot by 5-foot culvert and also a 4x4 culvert just to the north for a wildlife crossing and also extra capacity for larger storms. With the proposed culverts, here's one. Yeah, so this was January 10th. This is looking south, so upstream is on your right side, downstream's on your left. So you can see the roadways overtopping, the low points a little bit south of the existing culverts and where the proposed culverts will be. And you can kind of see there's like a pocket of water here where the water comes right up to the roadway, trying to find its way through. So our intent is to replace those culverts, and in the proposed condition, it'll be able to handle up to a 200-year storm event, over top sometime between 200 and 500-year event. So for 100-year events, it'll pass right through, no problem. So due to the geometry of the roadway, it's a low point in the road. It's tough for us to meet the stream crossing standards, but we are trying to do that with the additional wildlife crossing, which is it's placed a little bit upgrade of the roadway towards the north where the grade starts to come up, to keep that in the dry as much as possible. The 10-foot by 5-foot culvert is too low. It would always be full of water. There's no way animals could cross in the dry there. We did raise the road about 3 inches. It's tough to really raise it much more because the driveway's on either side of the structures. We're trying to limit the wetland impacts as much as possible. There's a little bit of an impact, but we do have room to replicate it, which is shown on the wetland impact and replication plan. And in addition, like you mentioned, there's the water main replacement. So that's within the immediate project area and also from Main Street to King Philip Trail. And there's also a gas main, a 12-inch gas main that currently is to the east of the roadway, but we're going to bring that underneath the culverts within the roadway once we replace them.
So you're going to move the gas lines?
Yep, so they're currently connected to one of the culverts now, so we'll have to do something with it.
Oh.
So we're going to go underneath. We talked to the gas company. We're going to put steel casings under the roadway for the water main and the gas main so they can feed the line through. There'll be 2 shutoffs on either side, and they can get to it from outside of the structures.
Okay.
The gas main now is above ground behind the gutter,
Right.
the guardrail, right?
Yep, right, yeah, on the east side, yep. So it comes out, basically where the guardrail starts, it comes out, goes above ground, and then goes back into the roadway to this north.
Okay.
So that's the project in general, and she's our wetland specialist, so if you have any specific questions on that, she'll be able to help.
Sure. Hi, I'm Lauren Gluck, Managing Environmental Scientist with Power Corporation. Elaine, if you could pull up the plan set. I do have a plan that shows the wetland impacts pretty clearly in color. I think it's sheet 8 of the set. Thank you. And also, that's in your handouts, this sheet that has the color-coded impacts.
Okay.
I might just stand up.
Sorry. What page was that? Last one? Yeah. I passed it. Go ahead.
Okay, well.
That's not.
Yes. Sorry. No, it's okay. I think you had the set up before. It's the 24-page set, but I think I had sent you a reduced set with less sheets, just the ones that we're talking about. But either way, you do have a copy in front of you, so I can start discussing what the impacts are.
Please.
And then eventually the audience will be able to check it out. So on this plan, sheet 8, it's the wetland impact plan. The goal of this is to just illustrate what the resource area impacts of the project are. Given the nature of the project, it's a culvert replacement project. There are going to be some unavoidable impacts to the waterway, as well as some limited impacts to adjacent wetlands. In blue are the permanent impacts proposed to the waterway. Upstream and downstream of the culvert, there will be some excavation and kind of regrading to reform that channel once the new culvert is installed. And actually, you can see like a blue diagonal hatched line just upslope of that on both sides. That's actually areas where we're going to have a net increase in land underwater because we're broadening the culvert and some of those upland areas will become land underwater. So we actually have 150 square feet of new wetlands or new land underwater being created as a result of that culvert project. And then in green is just temporary impacts to land underwater. These are just areas on the downstream side that may be impacted temporarily for construction access and grading and installation of erosion controls. Yeah, I think it's sheet number, the number on it is 8, but I don't know what number it will be. Here we go. Yeah, so if you could pan over to where the plan view is, to the right. There you go. Yeah, so in blue is permanent impacts to the channel. Blue hatch is new land underwater being created. And then here in orange and red are impacts to bordering vegetated wetlands. We have some pretty minor impacts to bordering vegetated wetlands resulting from that channel regrading. In total, it's about 49 square feet of permanent impacts shown in red, and then 108 square feet of temporary impacts, again, where we have erosion controls, construction access. To offset that, we're proposing 2-to-1 mitigation, which is required under the bylaw. So in an adjacent area right over here where you see these plantings, we're proposing to offset those impacts by just kind of grading back along this shoulder area here. It's a pretty disturbed shoulder. It's a regularly maintained road shoulder, and we just happen to have some space over here. And then in addition to the wetland creation, we're also going to restore this, the orange, the temporary impact area next to it, because we're already over there. We may as well throw some plants down there as well. There's also some work within bordering land subject to flooding, but there will not be any loss in floodplain. It will actually result in a net increase in flood storage due to making the culvert larger in this excavation within the uplands here that will create areas of water where it's currently just upland, kind of upland areas surrounding the culvert. And then of course, due to the nature of the project, we have work in the buffer zone, we have work in the 50-foot, but it's unavoidable, we're replacing a culvert. So we did account for those in our application, but we are required to work within those zones due to the type of project that this is. Another thing I wanted to bring up, there is an aerial photo that shows the overall length of the project, including the water main, so I gave that to you guys in your handouts. We did investigate the length of the water main work. Water main work where it's not a substantial enlargement in the utility line is exempt from both the WPA and the bylaw, but we did investigate the whole length of that just to make sure there were no sensitive wetland resource areas that would be impacted. The only wetland that we did find up here, it's actually a certified vernal pool, so it's just to the, I guess, yeah, to the northeast, to the south of King Philip Trail. That's kind of where we're terminating the water main work. So the work is confined to the roadway, but we would make sure to have the appropriate erosion controls to protect that because it is a certified vernal pool with a BVW. So that's acknowledged in the application, even though it's exempt from the regs. So that sums up the resource area discussions. We have not been issued a file number yet by DEP. We are in their system, but they just haven't issued a file number. We haven't received any comments. So we're waiting on that.
Is the elevation of the road changing?
It's going up 3 inches. We're trying to raise it as much as possible to get as much capacity without it overtopping. But there's a limited amount of space.
Oh, okay.
There's a dirt driveway right there.
Yeah.
Which is rough.
How long will this project take?
Overall, I think one season. We are planning on closing the road to do the whole project, just do it all at once. So that'll probably take about 2 months, but with all the prep work and everything, I'm guessing it'd probably be closer to 6 months.
Wow. Okay. Estimated timeline of when it might start?
So we're
Your best guess?
We're planning on advertising in October.
Okay.
So, with the procurement and everything, it'll probably start sometime early next year, and then the contractor will get out there probably in the spring.
Okay. Gonna do an overpass? When you close Seekonk, that's a busy street.
Yeah, we have a detour. We discussed it with Barry. I guess they did something similar when they put that gas main in, so it's a similar detour to that.
Oh, okay.
But again, that would only be like for that 2 months where it's closed. The rest of the time, it would be temporary closures. And
okay.
The work. So
Okay.
the 6 months is overall with like the water main work and all of that too. So.
Okay. Understand. Questions? Comments? The audience, including Zoom? Okay. Seeing none, I'll accept a motion. You want this to continue? Do we get the DEP number?
Most definitely.
Yeah,
And there's no reason not to? No impact to you?
There's no, it's not.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, our schedule, we're advertising in October, so as long as we get it before then.
Yeah, we hope.
Yeah.
and, yeah, just, a cursory review of the plans. I did have a few comments just about some of the exemptions that have been claimed, including the water main replacement work being exempt. So the existing main is an 8-inch diameter pipe that's going to be abandoned in place and replaced with a 12-inch diameter. So as far as, what constitutes a substantial enlargement,
They're leaving the 8-inch and putting in the 12?
It's an 8-inch AC main, so the AC main will stay in place. If we expose it or something happens to it, we have to remove it, which can get very expensive. If we
That's
leave it alone.
asbestos concrete?
Yes. So we leave it in place. We don't, we probably put the main proposed probably the other side of the street.
Yeah, I think the plans called for 5-foot minimum distance from the current main.
Well, like it can, as long as they don't disturb the existing main, then it can go pretty much almost against it. But they'll probably stay 4 feet off it, I'm sure.
And
I don't know
then-
what the plans are, but I haven't seen any of it.
Along with that, so that exemption only applies, as long as best management practices are being utilized. I would expect, there to be dewatering plans, potential plans if, that AC pipe is damaged during construction, things like that. As far as the certified vernal pool, the plans don't show erosion controls along the edge of that roadway, or the current plans. So just things like that, I think the applicant should provide the commission with justification as to why they think they meet that exemption.
Well, I don't think they're still gonna have to put wattles up and stuff around the vernal pool, and they're still gonna have to put some protection up. I don't think they're
Right, but if that's
exempt that much.
Yeah, but if that is the case, then that should be shown on the plan.
I'm not sure, but you could answer that, but.
Yeah, there'll be erosion controls. We can add that to the plan. Yep.
Yeah.
And then stormwater, so they're, under the regulations, there are 3 types of projects that are exempt from stormwater. That's single-family home projects, emergency roadway repair, and small residential subdivisions, 4 units or less. Obviously, this project doesn't fall under those 3 categories. So in my opinion, the applicant needs to submit a stormwater checklist for this, especially, the purpose of this project is to reduce stormwater and flooding impacts, and I think it would be, overlooked to not address the stormwater standards that are applicable here. Even though there's no net increase in impervious, it would be called a redevelopment project. And there are several standards that need to be met, and then the remaining have to be met to the maximum extent practicable. So,
Yeah, I think that's prudent. Agreeable?
Yep, we can look into it.
Okay. Any questions from the audience? Okay, seeing none. Any further up here? Okay, we're going to continue this until we get the DEP number, and you're not going to do it in the fall, until the fall anyways. You don't have to appear anymore unless there's something drastic comes up to Caitlin's attention. So I'll accept a motion to continue this to June 12th, and we'll just continue it every month until it's ready to go with the DEP number and the revised plans.
Motion to continue to June 12th.
Is there a second?
no, 7:05.
Oh, yeah. The first one, 7:01. Okay. Val?
Valson, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. We'll continue it, and we'll talk in the future. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Christopher and Kean, come on up to the table.
Good
evening, Mr. Chair. Good evening, commission members.
Okay, why don't you sit down, identify yourselves and who you're with, and...
Sure. If it's okay, I have some media. Can I just use this HDMI to put it up?
And you are?
My name is Chris Patrick. I am with the New England Mountain Bike Association.
I'm Kean Malone.
Okay.
And what I wanted to do is, first off, just introduce you to the New England Mountain Bike Association so that we can have a conversation about how we can help you.
Let me tell the audience what this is about. This is regarding Lynn Farms, which is conservation land, and the New England Mountain Bike Association uses it, and we're going further with it. So, go ahead, Keenan.
I'm not sure if, why it's not showing up there, but is anybody else seeing it?
Does Andrew need to switch something with the...
Andrew?
Is there any way you could email me that?
Is there anything you have to do?
The email won't be fast because it goes through my corporate network. It'll take forever. Apologize, yeah.
I don't have a presentation, right?
If we don't have a presentation, I can just talk from it.
Okay, go ahead.
And then we can give it to you afterwards.
Sure, I appreciate that.
First, let me just introduce to you, for those that don't know, what New England Mountain Bike Association is and what our mission is. So we're a community of mountain bikers. Our commitment is to specifically mountain biking, but also to preserving open space and guiding the future of mountain biking in the region. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. We focus on recreational trails, advocacy, and we have 35 chapters throughout New England with over 10,000 members. Our goal is to promote mountain biking, to steward trail systems where we recreate, and to ensure access to open space. So I'm not going to go through our history. I was going to share this slide deck with you, but I have some history here about when our organization started. It started in 1987. I'll call out some of the highlights. We've worked in an official capacity with the DCR over the years, and one of the, I would say, one of the biggest achievements that we made was in 2008 when we were hired by the DCR to train all of their land managers on how to maintain and create new trails. Not just mountain bike trails, multi-use trails throughout all of their properties in Massachusetts. So specifically in Massachusetts, that's one of our crowning achievements. Okay. There are a few others I could call out.
And so how can we help the communities where we recreate? First of all, we can help with trail maintenance and upkeep. We can help with new trail construction. We can help with planning. We can either work alongside you, or we can put together a plan for trail mapping, in-the-field trail blazing, and infrastructure, including funding for like kiosks and things like that. We can get funding for large trail projects, whether it be funding for upfront multi-use trail systems where you need to have a plan created, or we can even support direct funding with other funders to co-fund implementation of projects. We partner with other organizations. In the last probably about 3 years of my 25 years with the organization, there are a number of local organizations that have made a pivot towards us, that had used to exclude mountain biking from their properties, that are now opening their arms to us because they realize the value that we can bring. So Mass Audubon is now reaching out to us. The Trustees of Reservations is now reaching out to us, and there are a number of others that traditionally, or 10, 20 years ago, didn't want to have mountain bikes, and now really are actively pursuing us mostly because of our trail expertise, but also because we bring a wide range of the public to use their spaces, and they want their spaces to be used. We can engage with other public trail users to organize trail projects that benefit the town at large. So if you've got other trail groups or organized members in the public that would like to have a trail project where we either arrive for the support for insurance purposes or lead a project, we can help with that. And then we get to the fun part, right? We can also support family fun rides. We can lead fun rides for adults. Retirees, we have our Tuesday night ride over in Foxborough, F. Gerbil Hill, for retirees in the morning. And last but not least, I don't know if anybody knows this, but there is a growth in New England, which is kind of mimicking the whole country, in which kids are now entering into mountain bike racing as a sport. Right now in this region, it's not made it to the high school by high school like other states. Right now it's roughly about 4 to 5 towns per team, and the league is roughly about 1,100 kids. Every season they do 6 races. They look for 6 very big venues, so it won't be here in Norfolk.
All kind of terrain.
Well, they use basically areas that can support all the cars that park. So the trail system doesn't have to be especially large for their 6 races a season, which is basically a 10-week season with 6 races sprinkled in. It is right now going right now. It's a spring season sport. So I wanted to start by, that's our introduction. And so Kian's here with me. Kian has joined the organization, and he has asked for our support, and we support him. And he would like to get a conversation started about the trail care over at Lynn Farm. That would include anything that's on the table. I know that in speaking with Caitlin, I know that there's a couple of things that may affect some trail planning in the future, but we would want to do everything from immediate trail care activities like post-windstorm cleanup. We would be happy to volunteer and organize groups. We have the insurance to cover that kind of a volunteer sign up and process. We do it in all the other towns and for the state. We could do trail construction, we could do trail reroutes, we could do trail planning. I think there's probably a time I was going to show you in my presentation a map of the old paper map of Lynn Farm. You know,
a lot of area for new trails.
Right. Yeah. It's ripe for either a new map that we would help you create, or if you've got a Boy Scout troop in town. I am an Eagle Scout coach. I've coached at this point now 12 Eagle Scout projects in DCR properties and town properties doing trail projects, including kiosk construction all over New England. So from all the way down to Massasoit, all the way up to Boston.
Yeah, we do have a Boy Scout troop.
So we can kind of help in all those different areas. I don't know that there's any kind of a formal thing that we would ask tonight, but we want to be at the table and help you guys with Lynn Farm.
I'm glad we're having this discussion. I didn't know about your organization. I'm very happy about it, and I think that, the town can work with you. There's also an ongoing project, which is multi-town, called the Metacomet Project. Have you heard of that?
I got a chance
From
to take a look at it,
Attleboro
yeah.
to Walpole and...
Paved
then-
bike path?
Yeah. They probably could use your assistance. Rich McCarthy, our town planner, is involved with that, so he might be your first point of contact if you don't have one.
So it's going through the Lynn Farm?
No. Tadley.
We've had discussions about connecting Lynn Farm to the Metacomet Greenway.
Okay.
And some of our other, the Audubon properties across Marshall Street from Lynn Farm, and then there's Pond Street Rec. So there's a lot of different potential connections that could be made.
And that's one of our specialties, like in the towns where I've worked, a lot of towns in the last 10-ish years in their open space and recreation plans have leaned into creating a lot more trail connections throughout their town, so that, so let's be honest, so that kids can just hop on their bike and connect, rather than going down a busy street, they can go on trails, and not for nothing, but having more access for the folks who live in town to be able to use local trails. In an area right next to my house, I'm pleased to say that in 2010, I got the town a $17,000 recreational trails grant on behalf with NEMBA as the support. And we built out a trail system which was previously just nothing but ATV trails, totally blown out. And by affixing a proper trail system in there with kiosks and proper trail planning and maps and bridges, the ATVs are gone. It is now 100% people on foot, dog walkers, bike riders. There's an occasional horse. The land is being used the way the town wanted it to be used, and I can just say that when you properly plan a trail system and implement the trails plan, that is usually the end result.
How do you prevent the ATVs from getting on?
So here's the way. I sat through many commission meetings. I forgot to announce this. I'm also a conservation commissioner in the town of Easton. I've been there since 2010.
Okay.
When I was brought onto the commission, they found out that I had trail building and planning experience, and I sat through probably about 6 months worth of meetings where everybody wanted to keep putting up no ATV signs. And it finally dawned on me that I'm like, wait a minute, there's no plan here to address what you really want. You're trying to deal with what you don't want. And so I presented to them the concept of throw this sign thing away. Build something that's going to attract the users that you want, and it'll flush out the ATVs, because no ATV user is going to want to run into his neighbor who's like, what are you doing in here? And it worked.
ATVs
It's 100% cleaned up that mess.
ATVs can't be used in this town.
So anyway, but I'm saying, in our town too, we have a bylaw, we have a bylaw in our town, it's pretty strict, and it didn't matter, the ATVs are still using that property, and they are long gone. It is and it's right next to the high school, so now the high school, the local mountain bike team happens to have one of their practices at that high school. They use that. The cross-country team, who never used that property, now run that and connect to borderland. So like all of the use that you want out of a trail system in a town happens when you plan and implement properly, so that you attract the users that you want, which will then flush out the users that you don't.
There's a number of properties in Norfolk that have been undeveloped. Some of it's conservation land under our control, others under town control. The town just got a big piece, 60 acres was it? How much from the Department of Corrections? Pond Street?
It's 40 acres,
40
and
acres.
it's still going through the MEPA process right now.
But it's off of Pond Street. You can look at the map to the northwest.
That's the Recreation Department area, correct? That has the fields?
Yes, but this area is town property. It's not sorted out yet. But there's a lot of wetlands, but that whole area, even with the current acreage, you could put some bike trails in there. And I think, and there's a lot of parking, so it would, people could come, they could get on the trail. There are walkers, and that's it.
And there is the possibility of connecting that to Lynn Farm.
Yeah. So, that's one in the future. And then we've got other properties that we've not developed yet that possibly could have trails in the future. But I think, going forward, Lynn Farms is I'll say the premier site that would be great to get developed. And I think that, the town will work, we will work cooperatively with you, and whatever permission we need from the town, we'll get.
Yeah. Great. In the short term,
or requested, I should.
We would like to ask for permission to continue to maintain the trails. Not necessarily in an official capacity, but we have been keeping the trails in good shape.
You've put a couple of bridges up, haven't you?
No, we haven't.
Not yet? Not on that trail?
No.
Okay.
We've
There's
talked about
another
it.
trail.
We've talked about it in the past, but it hasn't come
Okay.
to fruition.
If you want to, and in those wet areas, we'd be open to that, just let Caitlin know. And we can do it. But yeah, there's another piece of property off of Squire Drive, which is where our police station is. And we walked it the other day, and somebody's put a bridge in there, and because people are on their bikes.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's all good.
You found it, huh?
Yeah, they found it.
Damn.
Well, I've seen some bridges where, nails aren't nailed all the way in, and,
Yeah.
it's not.
We've,
We've
speaking
built
of bridges,
really
there's
impressive
the DCR has now asked for all of the areas, at least in the southeast region where our chapter is. So that's Blue Hills. We've built some bridges up in Blue Hills, all the way down to roughly Miles Standish and all the way over to basically Rentham.
Oh, okay.
But DCR has asked that whenever scouts or any organization builds a bridge, that they use the standard that we created.
Okay. Do you use the metal grades?
We don't. It's something to consider, but there is a cost factor. You're thinking of the slip and fall? Because
Yeah.
the wooden bridges are slippery sometimes.
No, it's more, what do you call them? We've had them
Just so
over.
it allows for vegetation growth underneath. They're particularly good in areas where you have a low flow stream with fringe wetland on either side.
So what we've done with the bridge design that I have is we use just traditional decking. I could bring a design for you. But the spacing isn't just your traditional, like you're building a deck at your house with a 16 penny nail spacing the deck. We space them roughly about 3/4 of an inch.
Oh, okay.
We don't go any bigger than that because we used to go bigger than that and dog walkers complain because some of the smaller dogs' feet would get kind of... And so there's a benefit to that, including the vegetation piece, is trail users in the wintertime, the snow kind of falls through, and you still have snow on it, but there's slots and you can actually make through. And then leaf litter kind of breaks up and falls through as well. The tighter ones tend to get filled with silt and make a mess, and then have standing water on top of them.
Yeah, if you could send a design to the office,
happy to do
that
that.
would be good to take a look at, because we have had scouts do other walking trails, not bike trails, and they've recommended bridges out of wood. They've done a fine job, but maybe we can improve upon them in the future.
The design we use is just much heavier stock material primarily. There are some that we've built that I remember building that are at least 20 years old now, and they're still in good shape.
Good.
A couple boards here and there from a tree or whatnot, but they're still in good shape. That's roughly the lifespan of the dimension of lumber that we use for the decking, 20 to 25 years. So you may be redecking it at year 25. That's a pretty good lifespan out of a bridge in the woods.
It is. Questions, comments?
Of course.
Of course. I was
My only question I have...
We wait to the end for you.
That's right. I haven't seen the bikers over, we're talking over by the airport, correct? Phil's over in that area?
No.
Where are we talking?
Yeah, by the model airplanes.
Model airplanes.
Yeah. Not that
How many
complex.
acres do we have over there, for one? Do you know off the top of your head? Acreage?
18.
My biggest question I have is...
Lynn Farm is, I believe, 64 acres.
How is it between walkers and bikers? What kind of controversies do you run into? Is there any issue with that?
So that's a really good question. So the New England Mountain Bike Association, one of the biggest things we try to do is, at the start of all of our lead rides, we talk about, we are sharing the trail. And we have signage for some of our areas where I don't know if you've ever seen these signs where it gives you a point, it points to the users, there's 4 different users on the map, and it points to the user that has the right-of-way the most, right? We're the farthest, we're at the bottom. We have to stop for everybody. Hiker, horseback rider, cross-country skier, right? All of them. We encourage that. That's kind of part of the association's, like, hey, if we're going to be coexisting on the trail with everybody, we try to, administer that thought across all of our social media channels, whatever. So, yeah, is there going to be trail conflict? I don't see why there wouldn't be in a really busy trail system.
But these aren't busy trails.
Yeah. So even at the Blue Hills, we don't see a lot of complaints where there's a lot of trail users.
The one concern and I think thing that we need to do is put in a parking lot. Because we don't have a parking lot. That parking lot belongs to the Rentham State School, and people get yelled at.
I've been working on that.
Oh.
I've been working on that on Marshall Street where that right-of-way is.
Yeah, oh, okay.
And we got to get back with Caitlin and see what we got to do there to get.
Because we have a right-of-way, off of Marshall Street, and if we can open it up and put parking there, and then it's not far from the trail, you're up and going. And then...
What kind of a parking lot are you thinking about?
Gravel.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're thinking of this down the right-of-way off of Marshall Street, is that correct?
Yes. If you're going up Marshall Street on the left-hand side, you might be able to catch, there's overgrowth, but you might see a little trail or something there, but...
Used to be maintained, there's a break in the wall, there's a brick wall, a stone wall there as well. It used to be maintained, but it's not no more. The problem is the DPW is not manned enough to do the work. So I'm looking at the conservation is gonna have to get the monies up, or we gotta get monies funding to bring an outside contractor in and just clear it. And what we want to do is, I don't know how many feet in, but say, let's go with a number of 300 yards in as an entrance, and then it would open up to whatever we could do for parking.
Okay.
At that point.
So we can assist with the writing of a Mass Trails grant. I don't know what the Mass Trails grant criteria are this year, but I've written a number of grants and helped with towns to get funding for projects. If the Mass Trails grant can support the construction of a parking lot, then we would add that to the grant request. But that would be part of, hey, let's make a nice trail plan here that might include closing some old, really bad trails, building some new ones, rerouting a couple to accommodate the parking lot and to accommodate potentially this paved bike path that may come near the property.
Okay. Yeah, if we have your contact information, I'll get with Caitlin and we'll talk about it and send you something. Because, what it is like my man here said, it goes in 300 yards and then there's a field and there's some wetlands in there, but perfect area for parking. And, you get on your bikes and go.
You're trying to go between the two houses, correct?
Yeah, there's about 60 feet of frontage there, the right-of-way.
There's a couple houses there, but it's kind of open in that one stretch area. It's all woods.
Great. It'd be a perfect place to do it. And
how big is the parking lot that you're considering?
Oh, I'm not. It's something we have to talk about. We were talking at one point for just walkers and dog walkers of a 3-4 cars. Okay. Yeah. But it depends. If this is going to go through and you guys can assist in financing it and stuff, then maybe we make it, 10, 15, I don't know.
What is your standard parking lot size?
Depends on the trail density, really.
I mean,
we would help with that formula.
Because at the other end, there's no parking there, but 10 cars maybe at the airport, I call it, the small end.
Yeah. I'd say,
you could fit a few
15 cars
in
if you had to.
Okay. That'd be a reasonable sized parking lot?
Yeah.
I don't think you need to make it that big.
I'd say something that size. That's not that big, and you can fit probably 20 or 30 cars in there, especially if it's a group.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because it is clear, it's a meadow.
And it doesn't need to be potentially gravel. It could be grass, because some of it's grass over at the airport area.
Sure.
Cars can park on grassy area.
It'd just be gravel going in over there.
Because it has to be impervious. We don't want to put any kind of asphalt or anything like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. I appreciate you coming.
Thanks for inviting us.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll keep the discussion's going.
Did I ask enough questions, David?
And
You're doing
Just-
fine.
Okay.
Let me put 3.
before moving on to action items.
Yes, sir.
Good,
Ma'am.
that'd be great, and I'll share it.
I don't have it in my notes that the order of conditions for Pond View, for Callahan Pond, was ever issued. So in case it wasn't, if the commission could just vote on that again, just to make sure.
For 3 years?
So the ecological restoration limited projects are actually 5 years.
From when? March of
issuance.
23 or now?
From the issuance.
From issuance, so
Okay.
whenever either they pick the form up or it gets mailed out
Okay.
is the
Is
issuance
this an
date.
extension or new?
This is a new one.
A new one.
Okay.
And so then, I think the one special condition that was discussed was that they give us 1 to 2 weeks' notice before they start treatment.
Yeah. Okay. Any discussion, questions from the audience?
We're all good?
All right.
So we need a motion for that? I'm not sure what the motion.
So, a motion to issue an order of conditions for
Callahan.
For Callahan Pond.
DEP 240
Okay, let me find it.
668.
Coley's a good food.
Okay.
There's Callahan.
All right. Motion?
Can I make a motion so moved?
No.
Let me find.
Second.
Where is second?
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, this is just to confirm what we've already
Yeah,
talked about,
whatever the- I don't-
approved, but not, want to make sure it's in writing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Technical.
Okay, technicality.
Yes.
Okay. Seekonk Street?
Right, request extension. I'm not sure that anyone is here for that.
See anybody?
That I've heard. So they submitted a request for a 3-year extension for their order of conditions, which was issued by the Concom in June of 2021 and will be expiring this upcoming June. Conducted a site visit on May 7th just to confirm existing conditions and the current status of the construction project. Currently work is mostly contained to the house lots themselves, the roadways and basins, the stream crossing area, the wetland replication area. Those have all been completed. They're starting to prep to do final grading and paving for the sidewalks. So most of that has been completed. The erosion, I walked the perimeter of the erosion controls. They were in fair condition. Most of the steeper portions of the site that had previously experienced some erosion and sedimentation are currently stabilized. And yeah, so based on
Coming along good there.
based on my observations at the site, I didn't note any issues or concerns. Yeah, I would recommend the commission issue the extension as requested.
Discussion? Anybody in the audience? Yes, come up to the table, identify yourselves.
Put me out of the job.
I'm sorry. You're doing so well.
The best I can.
Thank you very much. My name is Patrick Kerrigan. I'm in a butter to the project.
And good evening. I'm Benjamin Goldberger of Anderson and Krieger, and we represent Patrick in connection with this project.
Whereabouts are you in, you live on Seekonk Street?
I live on, we live on Stop River Road.
Okay.
Yes, sir. 14 Stop River Road.
Oh, okay.
And I'm here tonight because of significant concerns with respect to the environmental impact that the project is having, both on certified vernal pools that abut the project, as well as surrounding wetlands that abut the project, in addition to the wetlands on the project itself. And because of those concerns, I'm respectfully requesting that the commission not extend this order until we have a far better understanding of the environmental impacts that are happening both to the protected wetlands on the project site as well as abutting protected wetlands. And so basically my concerns can be boiled down into 4 buckets. The first concern is that there are abutting wetlands to the project that I do not believe were considered in connection with the initial order, and we know that they're being negatively impacted because the commission very kindly got involved back in February and sent a letter to the developer highlighting all of the areas of non-compliance. So that's a concern with respect to the abutting wetlands partially. I also think it's important to consider the plans themselves, presumably the plans that the commission reviewed when providing the initial order of conditions, they state, blasting is prohibited on the project site. That's just on the plans itself. Then, as I understand it, a blasting plan or blasting analysis was provided to the town at some point. The best I can discern probably happened in the spring of 2022.
Yeah.
And that blasting plan says that the estimated time for blasting was 2 weeks. So all of the information, because in reality, the blasting started in June of 2022, and it has gone through at least March of 2024. And so blasting has been extensive, and it has been long-standing, and I believe has had significant impacts, impacts that were not necessarily considered before, because I don't think people were necessarily aware of that was going to happen or how extensive it was going to be. And these impacts, we know that there's a change in hydrology. I just know that because I was at a ZBA hearing a couple of months ago where that issue was brought up. So that we know that there's changes in hydrology. And from an environmental standpoint, it stands to reason, and it's very reasonable to assume that because of the changes to hydrology, the effect that all this blasting has had on the existing ledge, never mind the ledge that was brought up, but the existing ledge itself and the existing land, and so drainage patterns drainage patterns are going to be different than they otherwise would have been because of this draft, because of this blasting. So blasting is the second reason why it seems that the town hopefully will pause this and take another look and consider some of these issues and how they are impacting both the site, the wetlands on the site, as well as the abutting wetlands. Additionally, so there's, if you look at the site plan, so the wetlands are very much, the abutting wetlands are very much downhill from where the project is. And as designed right now, there is a 20-foot drainage easement. There's roof drains, a number of roof drains, and then there's also a leaching catch basin that all are basically sitting at the top of the hill that then flows down into these abutting wetlands. And given all of the changes in hydrology and ledge and everything else that have happened because of the blasting, it stands to reason that the anticipated flows out of there are going to be far different than they otherwise would have been. And it also very much stands to reason that those flows are going to negatively impact the abutting wetlands. And I would note, and also, and I should have noted earlier, apologies, both with respect to blasting and drainage, this applies both to the abutting wetlands as well as the actual wetlands on the property. So like the plans indicate that there's going to be, that they estimate there's going to be 16,000 gallons per day of wastewater getting pushed out of all of the units on this property. And, if the drainage patterns are different than what they were anticipated, this could have very real material impacts, not just to the abutting wetlands, but to the wetlands on the project itself. And then finally, I had to call the town. I mean, I had to get involved because all this erosion was coming down the hill back in. I discovered back in February. Caitlin, thank you very much for your help, and thank you to the commission for getting involved and sending the letter. The order of conditions very plainly says that the developer, quote, shall inspect the erosion controls on a daily basis. And, I'm the one who had to ultimately bring this issue to light, that these certified vernal pools and wetlands were being impacted by erosion coming off the site. And given the extent of the actual erosion that you can see on the slope itself, I believe that erosion was longstanding. So I'm really concerned from a compliance standpoint that the order of conditions as currently drafted is insufficient to really be monitoring this project and giving us comfort that the environment is being protected.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for bringing these concerns to our attention, because Caitlin goes out randomly and looks and sees, but you're there daily, so you can see things that we may not catch. Do we get what's our reporting from them on the environment and wetlands and
So
water?
the monitoring is being overseen by the planning board.
Do they get reports?
Or, excuse me, the ZBA, because
get
this is a 40B project, and so they got a comprehensive permit through ZBA.
Okay. And that's you, right? Do you get reports? Can you share that?
I don't know the exact, I would assume typically it's either on like a certain time frame or after a certain amount of rain, like a half-inch rain event or a quarter-inch rain event, or bi-monthly, but I'm not
Caitlin, could you
100%
look
familiar
at
with the ZBA
some of
permit.
them that she has and see which ones might be relevant for us to take a look at and send them out to put them in a shared drive so the commissioners can take a look and see what the ZBA is monitoring? And I know like on the demolition, blowing up all that rock, they didn't anticipate all that granite up there. And so, yeah, they did, I think, receive, I know they had to continue the blasting. But
Dave, unfortunately, that's a ZBA issue, is it not? It is not.
Right, but we can.
I understand we can. I've been up there, I go up there at least once a week, if not more. The incident you're referring to in the past, I believe, was because they stockpiled some dirt in the wrong spot, and we had the heavy rains we had, which washed everything down into that gully, which Caitlin went out, we
corrected,
recommended they do what they had to do, and they did do that. But as far as the blasting and that, I mean, how can we?
Oh, we can't do anything. But no, I'm just saying, give us, send us, the report, and we can just take a look at it. And not, if there's any issue, you'll pick it up. We may have something, but it's a ZBA issue all the way. So you have to stay on top of them.
Yes, but I will note, certainly a ZBA issue, but there are, the blasting very likely has had environmental.
Impact.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but again, we're not geologists and that to determine what that impact is, and that would go to the ZBA to investigate that issue. to
But
find
Beta
out.
should be watching that, correct?
I would believe so.
And just to clarify, by drainage, do you mean like groundwater flow or like overland flow?
Hydraulically, I would think the groundwater flow is what you're referring to.
With respect to the wetlands on the project site itself, correct. Now, with respect to the wetlands off the project site, I think we would be concerned both about subterranean hydrology as well as overland water run. Just because the fact that they're so downhill, I mean, so this is like literally the elevation of where the project is. These are the wetlands down here, and this is the concern.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Although, so that, the vernal pool that's partly on your property, that's kind of a classic vernal pool that doesn't have an inlet and an outlet, so it's primarily groundwater fed as well as
It has
overland flow.
It has it actually does
or
have.
it has a culvert off of Stop
It does. So
River.
there's actually like it is next to a creek or a stream. So it is a wetland. It's a wetland.
Across Stop River, there's a stream.
No, so like, you know where the vernal pool is, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So basically, the project is here uphill, then you come downhill. The vernal pool is here. At the very, very back, the vernal pools, at the very back, before Stop River, there is a creek with running water. I was down there yesterday and I saw it. I mean, like, it's a creek or a stream. And then that flows into a culvert, which goes under Stop River Road, and which presumably connects to other wetlands. If you look on like the maps, there's all these wetlands back up in here that keep on going up, and they're quite extensive actually. So
Yeah, the Stop River.
Between Creek and Stop River,
Yeah,
I believe there's a big
that's-
wetlands inside.
yeah.
That's where it's a holding area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Down in there.
Yeah. So
Then eventually gets to the other side to Stop River.
yeah. So it's a wetland.
Well, I think just the size of it itself, it would probably qualify as an isolated land subject to flooding.
It's what I
So,
was thinking that as well. So I think it qualifies as both, honestly. But in any event, it's something that should be protected and was not considered in the original order of conditions, and I believe it should be.
And if I could just
Please.
add something. So I was just retained today, so I'm still...
You're up to speed, correct?
Right, so, yeah, and I've already got a wetland scientist, and we have a now. What we do have, though, that I was able to do today is just go on MassGIS, and the DEP wetlands layer shows an area of wetlands where this is the project, this is the slope, the wetlands begin down the slope.
Yep.
The vernal pool is further adjacent from the project. So based on the conservation agent's February 25th memo, which said that there's fill that has gotten all the way to the vernal pool, it's clearly gone through what someone at some point that had input into that GIS layer thought was a wetland. So you have a situation here where the work that is being done under the notice of intent has done actual damage to a protected area, to the wetlands. And what that tells me is this is not an appropriate thing to extend. You got to do an NOI, go through the process of figuring out what technical safeguards are necessary for protecting this wetland that is not on the project, and also what administrative safeguards, because my reading, the conservation agent should correct me if I'm wrong, but my reading is that the erosion controls were completely buried in February, and somebody from the project was supposed to be out there daily looking at them. This seems to me to be an ideal situation to add an independent construction monitor or somebody who's going to be out there because, Patrick can't go on the property, right? I mean, and I doubt the conservation agent wants to.
I agree with you, but I don't think we
I
can.
mean, I believe the commission has the right to modify, revoke, or add special conditions as they see fit.
The commission also has the authority.
If the commission wanted to, because.
The same as the other projects.
Okay, let
Yeah.
him finish. Caitlin?
And at least, yeah, something like an inspection after like a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch rain event, at least through any blasting or significant earthwork on site would be appropriate.
Well, I think,
And that might not be a bad idea. We work in the same town hall, but, the reports that go to the ZBA, they don't always make it to me unless I specifically go looking for them. And so, if the commission wanted to, for their own peace of mind, know that, that's being handled to the conditions of the Concom permit, that may not be a bad idea.
So I was going to say that the commission also has the authority to not grant an extension request.
Correct.
Under 310 CMR 10058, excuse me, I transposed the numbers. But there are 5 triggering conditions that allow an issuing authority to not have an extension. And you have, I'd say, at least 2, maybe 3 of them here. I mean, the change to the hydrology may be a changed circumstance, but I don't want to say that. I've been in this so short, but I think it's pretty clear that you have work that was done in violation of the regulations that has damaged an area, which makes pretty clear that the NOI as written was not doing the job in February because of what happened. So just in terms of the thing that is before the commission, I just want to make sure that you're aware that you don't have to grant an extension.
Right. I think one of the conditions we need to do is, have the reports that go to the ZBA come to us also. But it is a 40B project, so how?
So what that means is that
conditions for us?
any additional protections under the bylaw would not apply. So it would just be the state regulations, which is how it went through last time. Although I'd have to look back at the history.
Can we require a third-party monitor on this job, this as well? Our own?
Yeah, so I believe it's, one of the general conditions on the state form that, the commission has the right to modify, revoke, or add any special conditions as they see fit. So,
That way we don't
there
have to
are
depend on ZBAs.
another
Otherwise,
general,
we'll get our own.
another general condition, related to erosion and sedimentation. It states, if it's discovered, it must immediately be addressed by the applicant, and just the fact that it's, a general condition on the form. Unfortunately, things do happen during construction phase, and the commission, tries to condition projects in such a way that, to reduce any potential impacts during construction. I do believe they, did their best to address the issue with the vernal pool back in February as quickly as they could. But I think going forward, if we were to add a special condition with a construction monitor under the commission, that way, we be able to keep tabs on what's going on out there, make sure they're keeping up with their erosion control inspections, and catch anything before there's,
Damage.
additional sedimentation to the
There's no
vernal
reason
pool or
for us
other
to-
wetlands.
We have until June to extend this. We don't have to do it tonight in May.
It is June 14th
When's our meeting?
when their permit expires.
In May, so that's,
Yeah, I know, but when
It's kinda
when
close.
is our June meeting? June
The 12th. So,
I think we do need to have some discussion. I'd be open to that. But,
although, I mean, and so the whole modify, revoke, add, that, doesn't have to, that can happen at any point. It doesn't have to happen at a public hearing.
you can just do it with our permission.
If my
you can do a cease and desist
interpretation
at
of
any
that
time.
Yeah.
condition is correct, it says that, at any time.
Is there any negative of us extending it tonight?
Well, if, something happens and there isn't a quorum on June 12th, that would be.
it would shut them down for a
It would shut them
month.
down and, there would be ramifications for that as well.
What are the pros of us doing it? That it can continue, but then we can go ahead and discuss and implement some other conditions on this one, such as a third party.
Right,
Okay. We can discuss that tonight, correct?
yeah. So I think, it's, if they're forecasting it to be a summer, kind of like last summer, with a lot of rain. So something like an inspection after a quarter-inch rain event, I think makes sense.
Okay.
At least through, while blasting is occurring, and any earthwork excavation.
I think.
You get notified, Elaine, when the blasting's gonna occur?
No.
No, fire does.
Fire department? Yep.
But I think they're almost, I don't want to quote me, but I think they're pretty much done with that. Right now, they're rock crushing. They're doing a lot of rock crushing up there right now.
Yeah, I think.
From the blasting.
it looks
So we
like-
can talk to the chief and
Yeah.
about the blasting, if there's any future blasting to notify us. I think that'd be an easy thing for him to, his admin people to know. Anything else you want to say?
Could I note one thing and ask one
You
final
may.
question? Thank you. Wanted to note, with respect to the rock crushing, the Board of Health in Norfolk had to shut the project down in 2022 because there was so much dust coming off of that project that they literally had to shut the project down. I just wanted to note that. And I also just have a question, which is, it doesn't sound to me like the abutting wetland was considered in connection with the 2021 order of conditions. And I just, as somebody in the town of Norfolk, it just seems appropriate to me that that wetland should be considered in connection with the project and should be living under that order of conditions. Otherwise, it's just going to become a Wild West. So I would think that it's in the public interest to somehow fold or explore folding that abutting wetland into this order of conditions at the minimum. And I just want to reiterate, I think from a public interest standpoint, the blasting was extensive. It was not considered by the design firm, and there's a lot of wetlands around here. I mean, like we talked about, these wetlands are, so I look at that hill, and you have to think that there is going to be sewage coming down that hill, subterranean sewage coming down that hill, getting into the vernal pools, going under the culvert and getting into the wetlands and going who knows where. I mean, I don't know what the private well situation is over on the other side. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I mean, from a public interest standpoint, this is very concerning. So, you know, I want to note that it seems to me that the abutting wetlands was not considered, and I would request that it would be.
I think we did
By
discuss
abutting
it.
wetlands, are you referring to the vernal pool or the wetlands to the east, southeast?
Well, the vernal pool borders a creek or a stream, so it's a
Do you have a
wetland.
map of that?
And it has bordering,
Probably in the history
wetland
somewhere.
vegetation all around it. So it's
So
it's a wetland.
locally, we have a 50-foot no disturb under the state regulations, which would...
100 feet.
It's
Yeah.
100 feet.
Yeah.
Well, there's a 100-foot buffer zone, but essentially, work can be allowed right up into the edge of a vernal pool under the state regulations.
But we haven't explored the contours of what that vernal pool is. So, I mean, we don't know where it starts or ends.
And I would just point out, I mean, again, this is just off of Mass GIS, but I think that it would behoove everyone to have a formal wetlands delineation done of the wetlands on, at 14 Stop River Road, because it's clear, I mean, the conservation agent has seen it and reported it. This work has impacted those wetlands, and those wetlands extend south from at least where, again, I'm just going, when I came relatively directly from the office and did not have appropriate shoes to go tromping down there with Patrick, but if you just look at the Mass GIS map, you'll see the vernal pool that was mapped and certified. I'm told that there are multiple of them. Is towards the north end of 14 Stop River Road, kind of near Stop River Road itself. The wetlands on Mass GIS extend south from there, and so if there's fill at the northern end of the vernal pool, that sediment clearly went right through the wetlands that were mapped and could be formally delineated. And I think that, that's the real reason to deny the extension, so that, and I understand, I look at the map on Mass GIS, I think it's like 130 feet, maybe.
The elevation difference.
That's why I would want to get a formal delineation, but that's probably why it wasn't considered the first time. But now that you have actual alteration of those wetlands, I think that it's incumbent on the commission to address it. And I think the way that you address that is that you have a NOI that acknowledges those wetlands, explains what they propose to do to protect those wetlands that they've already damaged, and then impose whatever conditions the commission sees fit to ensure that that protection happens.
Go ahead.
I'm having a hard time. We did address the issue that did happen. I don't want to sound negative here, but things do happen, and we're only human, okay? Caitlin went out, she inspected it, we gave them a cease and desist, we told them to fix it, and they fixed the issue. We don't have an issue in front of us at the moment. Now, there could be one next week, next month. We had heavy rains at the time they had an issue, and they admitted right out front that they put a stockpile of dirt in a wrong spot and didn't realize when we got that heavy rain, it was going to take it down in the vernal pool. We have you don't have any identification and nothing to show us that it has gone past that vernal pool. And we've been out there and inspected that.
But I think the sedimentation is important, but if we're looking ahead to when that site becomes operational, I'm concerned about sewerage.
I understand that, but again, the sewage and the septic systems is not our issue. Our issue is the wetlands, and we are there to protect those. The engineers that designed this project, they were supposed to look into that. Now, they can look into it again, but we don't have, right now, I'm not going to stop a project of this magnitude, being a 40B as well, because we don't have any evidence of any problem.
And that's why I think we need to talk with the ZBA.
Okay? We will add conditions, we can do that, by having a third-party monitor look over the project on our behalf, so that we can keep an eye on things a little bit more to make sure that there's nothing happening. But to stop a 40B project, I'm sorry, guys, but
It's going to be a major, yeah.
that's a lawsuit that I'm not about ready to get into myself.
Who would be the plaintiff?
The plaintiff could sue the town for stopping their project.
So you're saying the developer?
The developer, I'm sorry, yes.
Okay, so the town of Norfolk is concerned, the town of Norfolk is concerned that they're going to be sued by the developer?
No, I'm not saying that's going to happen, I'm just saying
If
right
we
now,
stop it,
it could happen.
yeah, I mean, they'll have-
Technically, they're not in violation of their
At this
order
moment.
conditions.
They're not in violation, we don't have a violation in front of us.
So do we have confirmation that they're up there every single day, checking
That's why,
inspecting their
sir,
moisture controls on a daily basis?
That's why we want to add to their NOI, or their order of conditions, that a third-party construction monitor be there on our behalf to do that.
Understood, but this order has been in place for almost 3 years, so think about all the damage that has been done that we don't even know about. I mean, if they weren't inspecting these erosion controls on a daily basis for almost 3 years, think about all the damage that potentially, I mean, like, when you look up at the top of the hill, there are massive sand piles up there. I mean, they go well up into the air.
I'm well aware of that, sir.
So-
All I'm saying is, bring us something,
well,
we need something
okay.
evidence
I think if
to
we
this.
can vote tonight to get a third party in there to help monitor for us right away. And I think they can take, one of the first acts would be to walk the site and see what they find. And give us the feedback, and then we can take any action on anything they found, and then anything going forward.
At that time. That's where I'm at. If there's an infraction happening, then we'll stop them. We can cease and desist tomorrow.
Okay, I mean, do you think it would be helpful, just as a resident of Massachusetts, do you think it would be helpful at this point for me to call the DEP and get them involved? Is that a better place to go for me with respect to these concerns? With respect to the protected wetlands and everything else that we've talked about here
You
tonight.
have the right to do that.
Yeah.
Right, but no, I'm saying,
We can't recommend it, but you have the right to do that.
Okay.
So, if I may, I don't think, no, I'm not sure, but I don't think that a project proponent has the ability to sue a town or even appeal to DEP a denial of an extension, because all the denial does is it requires them to file a new NOI and get a fresh order of conditions. So, I'm his lawyer, not your lawyer.
You're right, but it will stop the project during that procedure to start getting NOI, and that you're talking a month or two. And you're talking a very large project here to just say, nope, shut it down.
And I'm also talking about a wetland that work has demonstrably already damaged. And if the Conservation Commission, and I think that the Conservation Commission has full authority to, I mean, that to me is, I think, pretty plainly one of the triggers that allows the Conservation Commission to not extend a order of conditions.
What's your input?
I am not in agreement with that. There was quite a bit of sediment in the vernal pool, and the applicant, did the best they could to remove as much as possible. Fortunately, there wasn't a lot of ground vegetation along that slope that was damaged. That sediment ran down the slope. Like you said, things happen during construction activities. They did admit that it was because they had a stockpile in a wrong location that ultimately led to that. They moved the stockpile. They hired a wetland consultant to put a plan together to mitigate for the impacts. They hired an engineer to go out and review all the erosion controls they had in place at the time, which have since changed because during different phases of the construction process. There are different basins where stormwater is flowing to. I've, been monitoring that central wetland since I started, and I haven't noticed any sediment or it's remained the same. I think they did a great job with the stream crossing. I haven't noted any sediment in the water that's leaving the site, even when there was erosion issues and sedimentation issues on other portions of the site. So I think as far as meeting the conditions of their permit, any incidents have been addressed, and yeah, they're not currently in violation. So to not grant an extension when they're not in violation of any of the conditions,
Isn't warranted.
right. And I think, adding the condition, having someone go out after a quarter-inch rain event, which pretty much covers almost every storm lately, is a really good safeguard to prevent any future damage. So.
Okay. Final comment?
I just think that that's inconsistent with 310 CMR 10.05 8B 4, which authorizes the commission not to extend an order of conditions where work has been done in violation of the order or 310 CMR 10. And I think that, that phrasing where work has been done does not refer to an ongoing violation. It refers to a past violation or an ongoing one. And I would say that I think that we have that authority.
I think before we not issue it, I think our town attorney would have to look at that and make sure we're in a good position. So as Alan...
I'm always in favor of people getting lawyers.
My only issue I have is there are no violations at this time.
But as you say, that past and let our...
That was dealt with and took care of.
But let our attorney
and that's
take a look at it.
We have to have him do that.
And sedimentation in of itself is not a violation as long as it's immediately addressed and mitigated for.
And the vernal pool route will
general
recover.
Condition 13.
That will recover over time.
What's that?
It's one of the general conditions on the state form. If erosion or sedimentation takes place, it must immediately be dealt with and mitigated for. Otherwise, it's a violation. So there was sedimentation, but based on the definition or the definitions in the language in the order itself, it did not constitute a violation of the permit.
Okay, with that, I'll accept a motion to continue this with the addition of the third party is hired to monitor the site after every quarter-inch of rain.
And so they did ask for a 3-year extension. The commission can also choose to issue just a 1-year extension, a 2-year extension, if they felt that,
Why don't we give them a 1 year and see how they do? And with our monitoring, and as we say, there's no violation in front of us. So give them 1 year, not the 3, so that gives them a notice of a red flag that they've got to be on top of it, and we'll notify them. We're hiring a third party. Every quarter-inch of rain, a third party will be out there monitoring the site. And the third party will probably be, as I say, be out there before then, just to get a lay of the land. So with that, I'll accept a motion for a one-year extension of the order of conditions for 144 Seekonk Street, including hiring a third party to monitor the site on the Conservation Commission behalf.
So moved.
Al Finney, seconded.
Any further discussion? Anybody else in the audience? Okay, then, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Again, thank you for bringing your comments forward. We'll work with you, and I think this is a good way of trying to make sure nothing happens in the future.
Well, thank you very much for your consideration. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Commissioner.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, 18 Main Street.
Now?
Sure, you're on. Okay, Caitlin, do you want to say anything at this point?
Just that Paul sent over some pictures of the site after it was hydro-seeded. I don't believe we've had a chance to talk to see if that has, the grass has started to grow
As a
in.
matter of fact, all the vegetation around where they sprayed, it must be due to the enhancements that's in the hydro spray, but everything is flourishing, to say the least, quite a bit.
Nice.
You know,
The deer haven't eaten it all?
say again?
The deer haven't eaten it all?
No, actually, quite honestly, I took your advice. I got a couple of those light-up skeleton heads. Seems to be working.
Is there?
Knock on wood. You know, seems to be working, so I don't want to
Paging
jinx
work.
it. Not to this point. I do have groundhogs over there, but they're pretty pesky. Okay, 2 of
They
them,
can
but
stop
for the
those,
most
so.
part, the deer has left the vegetation in place. It's actually, quite honestly, and I'm sure you can attest to it, what you saw when we were there at that time, due to the inordinate amount of rain that we had received over the last year or so, the washout erosion part was minimal comparison to what it could have been. My mitigation that I had done up top, as long as with the stakes to keep the deer away, that's taken up the top level where they ate the one Japanese maple down with stick, if you recall. Unfortunate. It was the one pretty tree that my wife
But
loved.
it's good tasting.
No, evidently, you know the funniest part? They didn't eat it. They tore every branch off of it and spit it.
Is that right?
I was surprised.
But they
And
continued to do it.
No, I tell you what I did do. They grafted it on a green Japanese maple, so the green was starting to come back. So I left the stick in place. I says, if they're going to chew it, let them chew the graft. But they've left it alone, knock on wood. To this point, the deer have not been an issue. Thank you. The vegetation is pristine. As I say, quite honestly, I think it has to do with, you know, the product that was in with the seed. Must be almost like Miracle-Gro, honestly. Everything's growing, so, including, indeed, the additional bulbs, irises as well that I had planted. Okay. The vegetation, there should be 2 sets of photos. One is when they sprayed and then the blanket over it. You should also see in the photos, which that must be prior.
We saw that the last
No,
meeting,
right,
didn't we?
those are prior. Those are not. Did give
I
them.
can go,
That's
Well, no worries.
That's
I mean,
all right.
You see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll take a
Very
ride out there and check
yeah.
it out myself.
Yeah, anytime. You bring that Mustang, I'm waiting. Come on by.
He'll give you the keys for a weekend.
Yeah, no, not even at gunpoint, trust me. I could take his first child before the vehicle. But yeah, honestly, I put extra straw wattles. They would call for 3, we put 4. We put the straw blankets, okay, and then the top, they put a jute blanket. You know, he said it was overkill, but as I said to him, you know, I only want to do this once, and for the most part, without the torrential downpours that we've had, whereas, as you recall, Main Street, where Stock River comes into Highland Lake, was flooded. I mean, the water was just everywhere. But for the most part, no, it's taken off really well.
So we're just
Happy
waiting
with
for
it.
the engineering plans to...
Oh, they
come-
have.
Have we gotten them?
Excuse me, I believe you have them, correct? You have the plan?
I don't.
Said he was gonna send it. He sent me one. I tried to print it out. Caitlin, just a paper, huh? I'm sorry, I thought he sent it to
The
you.
plan. I had, when we had
I
last
tried to
spoke,
print it out
When did he send it to you? Do you recall?
last week,
Last week?
or better. I can look it up in my email when I received it. Hold on a second.
Well, if you could get
No, I
it to Caitlin this week, you'd be fine.
yeah. I'll
Yeah,
I'll look for it in my
I can call him
emails.
and tell him, I don't understand, he was supposed to send it to you,
Yeah.
he sent it to me. You know, I looked at it, there's only one quick thing there, Caitlin, I want to point out, if you can see where the blue pen is.
Yep.
When he did his markup, and I'm sorry I couldn't enlarge it, I'm not very that astute, I'm good with mics, but not so good with enlarging.
That's the next lesson.
That box with the blue pen, that was hydro seeded and blanketed also, and he didn't note it. But I can
Yeah, if you
forward
could
this
send-
email, I can forward you if you'd like, Caitlin, just send me an email and then I'll forward it
Okay.
to you.
All right.
Yeah, you should have
Let's
had
do
it.
that,
Sorry.
and, yeah, nothing is, on our part happening, so, yeah, let's just continue this into June and let her look over the plan, and then we can just get it resolved.
Well, as I say,
And
that
then,
was,
yeah, I'd probably try to schedule a time to come look at the site.
Site visit.
Yeah,
yeah.
before June
Sure.
12th would be ideal. But yeah, I can
Yeah,
shoot you
call
an
me, as
email.
I say, but as far as the email forwarding, yeah, if you can just send me an email first, and then I'll return it with that forward. As far as, the date that you'd like to come by, whenever is convenient, for the most part, I should be around, as long as, I'm not, I have sufficient notice, I don't believe I'm going anywhere, so.
All right.
But
Sounds
yeah,
good.
whenever you'd like. And if there's any other further questions, that's why, we stayed and
Yeah.
waited.
We appreciate your patience.
Well, it was a bit longer. My wife was fidgeting, it's uncomfortable for her.
She's not
so-
the only one.
But I wanted, I understand, clearly.
But you're getting paid overtime.
Innings, for
Yeah,
sure.
right.
I had to look at my clock here a couple of times, because that one on the wall does not
No,
move,
it's stationary.
apparently.
And I forgot, there is a reason why it's that time.
Yeah.
I heard it within the last month, and I forgot what it was, but there is a reason.
Some significance.
Go ahead, Donna.
Back to the future.
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
It's Back to the Future clock.
I'll have to make note of that for the next time. Yeah, as I say, honestly, by us going through, I want to make mention that indeed, we did everything asked by the commission promptly and efficiently. And again, trying to move forward and wrap this up. So
Yep.
as soon as you can, Caitlin, as I say, if you have any other further questions, I'm pretty sure that my name and number is on the photos, the package that was sent, and it should be in the file, my email, all that.
Yep.
Wonderful. If you
No,
have any
thank
further
you.
questions?
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You seem to like coming. Do you want to join?
No, I'm just...
We do have an open seat, we need an engineer.
Well, I tell you, quite honestly, perhaps you need a new mic guy as well. I could do that, Yeah, if indeed there is a chair required for the board, having a little more time now and being...
Yeah, we do have an open seat.
Do you? Well, yeah.
Talk to Caitlin,
Well,
These seats are a lot more comfortable than
no, it's a better
those
seat
ones.
than here I'm in.
That's right.
Because, I had to keep twitching, not for anything.
Oh, these are nice. You stay here all, see, we can
I'm
stay,
gonna listen to it,
we
right?
can stay here all night.
Yeah,
But if
I get, those are nice chairs, I saw that.
But if you're interested, then,
Caitlin,
Well,
send
we
me the
can-
info.
All right, yeah,
Quite
will do.
honestly,
And then what we do-
being a concerned
Sure.
citizen as well as having a vested interest in and doing the right thing for the environment.
Yep.
Because quite frankly, that property, when we purchased it, They were using it as a landfill.
Yeah.
And just by cleaning it up and taking care of the environment itself. So by all means, send me the info, whatever,
Yeah.
and we can proceed. You saw my mic skills.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Have a good
Have a
night.
good
Great
evening.
night.
See you,
Go
Paul.
home.
Have a good night.
You as well.
Okay, Clark Street.
No.
No, 19.
Oh, 19, I'm sorry.
I think he's over
Yeah.
in the corner there
Jim almost
sitting
just-
patiently
Yeah.
for the last 3 hours.
They skipped over me.
Keep you to the end, you know?
Yeah, it's okay.
Sorry.
No worries.
And I can
Identify
print out a
yourself.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. My name is Jim DeVellis, and I'm a professional civil engineer with DeVellis Arena Foxborough, and I'm here representing the Benton family for 19 King Philip Trail.
Yep.
The enforcement order.
Okay.
So I'll try to be brief, and it's been a long night for everybody. I was not at your last meeting, but I did watch it on YouTube. And I think with the commission, there was specific, they asked for a survey to be done, remove the rocks, remove the boulders and the fill. So I watched it, and then I gave Caitlin a call and tried to get some more information. She made it very clear that that's what the intent was. So I advised the client of that. They went out and hired Dun & McKenzie for an existing condition survey, and that was stamped with the flags and the topography. And then they hired me to do the mitigation plan. So what I submitted to Caitlin was, I think, on May 8th, was a plan, and from the phone conversation I had with Caitlin, I'll just summarize it. There's the peninsula that went out. We put a ring of erosion control, the straw wattles. Notes on there to remove all of the rocks and boulders. Remove the fill down to what they call the old layer, which was the natural stuff before the wood chips and all that. Put a layer of silty soil and then a New England seed mix on top of that, and then jute netting. And then there's notes on there to have an engineer present. The reason being is, I think when Caitlin did the augers, it's a couple inches here, it's a couple inches there. Rather than have a specific, then I would be out there to have them stop when it hits the natural layer, or to continue until it hits the natural layer. I document that, and then I would do a report at the end that was done according to all the notes on the plan.
Okay.
So it was, I think I prepared a plan that was pretty much what I heard at the meeting and then our follow-up meeting.
Yeah, we had discussed, I think the original enforcement order required, documenting the amount of fill that's out there, but, having someone go out there and, just based on the 4 auger holes I had that had variable depths, you'd have someone out there for a week straight, just, digging holes. So it would be, and then you'd have to honestly have someone out there while it was being removed. So it would just be a lot of extra work. So I think it makes sense to just go in with an estimate and then have, a qualified professional out there while they're removing it. So once they hit the buried organic or A layer, they can stop, add amendments if needed, and then so this doesn't specify exactly what New England, is this the New England wet mix?
Yeah, that's exactly what that is.
Okay. So really, the only comment I would have, or potential revision, is some in-water erosion control, or at least a plan to have something a little more protective than, oh, that is a sock, okay. But I think maybe a silt fence for that.
Yeah.
Whereabouts do you want that? I'm sorry.
I think Caitlin's trying to protect any of what they're removing from going into the water.
Oh, okay, while they're removing it,
So
okay.
if, there's a large rain event overnight,
Yeah, it
and the
doesn't
sock
wash.
fails, the fence,
Yeah.
will be able to
Hold it.
hold it. Yeah.
So just a silt fence with the straw wattles
against
Yeah,
against it?
and,
Okay.
probably stake down every 5 feet or so, I think. And
Yep.
then I think that should be
What do you
sufficient.
mean down every 5 feet? I'm not following.
The stake,
Oh, the stakes every
oak
5
stakes.
feet.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
The
yeah.
more, it
I mean,
just gives
as
it a
long
little
as-
extra protection. Because
As-
sometimes the sock fails and
Right.
then the fence fails and,
Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. I can make that revision.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the other one I forgot to mention, I think it's important, there's a note on there that says, preserve all trees and shrubs in the work area, remove fill around the base, but we're not cutting down anything, and everything that there will grow itself.
So if they run into some roots from the existing stuff, they should just stop, right? We're not gonna ask them to take a straw and suck everything that's in there out of there.
Yeah,
But,
Yeah.
75 to 80% of it,
Yeah, there's some mature.
because it's gonna go
30-foot
natural
trees.
anyway,
Yeah.
eventually. It's gonna wash and
Yeah.
become natural.
If you take them out, it's going to
Yeah.
erode.
Now, we said the grass and that, is there any trees or any kind of stuff where also, or any kind of other vegetation, or just the,
so the wet mix is primarily native plants that are, they can survive being inundated by water for
Grass,
portions of
is
the
it the
year.
grasses?
Grasses, and then eventually hopefully other native plants will populate that peninsula as time goes on.
when they're
But-
finished with the wattle stay? And just remove the silt fence and leave the
Once-
wattle to deteriorate, or are they gonna have to pull that? I'm only asking because I would think if the wattle stayed, it would hold the seed, at least in that area, and it wouldn't.
I think the fence and the wattle should stay up until the wet mix is established and
Established and
growing.
then pull it? Okay.
And fully stabilized.
Yeah, you go out and take a look at it and say, okay, it's good to go.
There is a note that says erosion control measures shall remain in place until all construction is completed and all disturbed earth is stabilized, so that would be the mix.
Okay.
And vegetation is
Yeah.
started back up again. Yeah, okay.
And, the native soil there is pretty organic rich, so I don't think there will be a problem having plants established there.
No. Sounds like a fair approach. So,
When would your clients be thinking of starting this project?
As soon as they can. They want to get it done, and hopefully, for the summer when it's dry, and then it'll establish in the fall.
okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Again, thank you for staying so late.
Yeah, thank you for your
I should have
patience.
told you 9:30.
But this is abnormal. Normally,
Oh, I believe, no issues on my side.
If I
okay.
didn't
It
ask
could have
so
been
many
7:30.
questions- If I didn't ask so many
It
questions.
was mostly
yeah.
you, it was.
Okay, let's go to 4 Clark Street, MCI.
And that I'm still just waiting on, I can't remember,
The report.
response action outcome report. I can't remember what comes after the closure report. But I need to coordinate with them on that.
With
to
Riverhawk?
confirm. Yeah, to confirm that, that wetland area where staining was observed was long night, adequate.
Aquatic?
Sufficiently sampled. There we go.
There we go. That works. All right.
And,
So we don't have nothing to do on that either, right? No.
no, so that's just on hold.
Okay.
Minutes for approval?
Yep. No.
No.
No? No, okay.
Lychee report?
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah.
It's leaching.
Let's do the conservation property rules and regulations next time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take a look at them.
Yeah, so essentially, I can't remember exactly what year it was. The commission put together a new set of rules and regulations, and may have voted for it in a meeting, but somehow it did not end up making its way to the clerk's office, so she doesn't have a vote on record.
So all we have to do is vote on this, in which we already did. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, then I'll accept a motion for,
We need to fix the hunting included. We need to add hunting to conservation land.
it's not allowed.
I know. We need to allow it.
No.
Okay, fine.
You've used all your comments for the night.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we...
Adopt.
We closed the meeting for tonight.
No.
No, not yet.
I don't accept that.
I mean, we could wait. It's 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's get this done.
You want to get it done?
You want to get it done?
I thought you said
All
you
right,
wanted to move on
close the
until next meeting.
Okay, is there a second to close the meeting?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, the meeting's closed.
Thank you.